Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Missouri Valley Media Day here on the Field of 68 Media Network. It is the first in a line of 15 media days that we're going to be doing here over the course of the next 4 weeks. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm fired up to start with the Valley here, Jeff, because this is always a good league. It's always a fun league. There's a lot of talent, a lot of good programs, a lot of great coaches. We are going to hear from every single one of those coaches in this conference over the course of the next about 3 to 4 hours for you. There's always turnover in the mid-major ranks. That is what college basketball is in the year of our Lord 2025. But I think that the place that we need to start with the Valley is where there was as much continuity as anybody in the mid-major ranks, and that is Illinois State. Ryan Pedon has put together a team that is going to contend for a Missouri Valley championship and is a top 5 team in the Field of 68's mid-major poll. Goodman, talk to me about Illinois State.
I mean, they're loaded. They're loaded. The fact that Pedon could keep, a first-team all-league guy, a second-team all-league guy, that puts him in different stratosphere than everybody else right now. I mean, Chase Walker coming back, Johnny Kinzinger coming back. These are guys that, again, know Pedon's system. So clearly, to me, Illinois State is the favorites going into the season. Now, that doesn't mean much, but what he has back is retention among his top players.
Yeah, there's quite a bit of turnover, not just with the players, but with some of the coaching staffs as well. Two of the better programs that we saw the last couple of years in the Valley, Murray State and Drake, have both had new head coaches sign up. We got Ryan Miller coming in to coach the Racers, Eric Henderson coming in to coach the Drake Bulldogs. You know these guys well. What can Valley fans expect to see out of their programs?
Energy out of both of them. They're going to play fast. They're going to shoot the ball. They're going to be talented. Now, I think Drake in particular, they're going to take a hit this year, obviously from what they were a year ago, which nobody expected. I think Drake fans are going to, have to temper their expectations a little bit. But I think Murray State's going to be loaded. Talented. Ryan Miller's got a ton of connections around the country. He's been at Creighton. He's brought, a couple players with him from there. Fred King, Mason Miller. So I think Murray State's going to play completely different than they have lately. And frankly, I think they're going to be in the top third of the league, maybe right out of the gates.
Yeah, it's an interesting contrast, right? Like, we know Ryan Miller can get players. We haven't seen him coach a team yet. We know Eric Henderson can coach. We haven't seen him get players at the level of the Missouri Valley yet. So both those programs are going to be fun. You'll be able to watch both of their first games as new head coaches at their new programs on the Field of 68's opening day showcase. I'm not even going to sit here and say shameless, because that is just a straight up plug, Goodman. That's what I do. I have no shame. Give me one player or one program that you are really excited to see this season, that maybe we've talked about Illinois State. We talked about the new coaches. Give me one team or one program that you're really excited to see this year.
I mean, Bradley. Right, they returned everything last year, and now they lose 73% of their scoring. Brian Wardle's got his hands full trying to figure this thing out. But again, he likes his team. We're going to hear from him later today. They are going to open the season against St. Bonaventure down in Rock Hill in our opening day showcase. And A.J. Smith, that's a guy that I think has got to be a guy for Bradley. The James Madison transfer has to step forward and be probably a go-to guy for Brian Wardle this year.
Yeah. We got to mention Trey Campbell in Northern Iowa, because Ben Jacobson's always in the mix. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like a guy in Tyler Lundblade, one of the greatest stories in college basketball this year, maybe the best shooter in college basketball. As a guy that could do nothing but shoot, I got to give him some props. But the guy I'm really excited to see is Isaiah Stafford at Southern Illinois. He did not play last season, but he was 17 a night at Valpo in 23-24, and now he's transferring to go play for Scott Nagy, who really needs some more scoring pop with the Salukis. So he's going to get that there. All right, Goodman, we're going to hear from every coach in the Missouri Valley over the course of the next 4 hours. But before we do any of that, here is Missouri Valley Commissioner Jeff Jackson. Welcome to the 2025 Missouri Valley Media Day here on the Field of 68 Media Network. My name is Rob Dauster. That's Jeff Goodman you see over there. We're going to have all of the coaches from the Missouri Valley men's basketball teams here coming up with us over the course of the afternoon. But we're going to start things off here with Missouri Valley Commissioner Jeff Jackson. Jeff, first and foremost, man, it's great to see you. How you doing? It's good to have you on.
Can't complain. It's like anything, the start of a new year, a lot of excitement, a lot of enthusiasm. And fortunately, having the opportunity to work with a conference like the Missouri Valley means we've got a lot of good teams. So it's off to a good start.
Well, a lot of commissioners are not aging as well as you are, Jeff. I will say that right. But you look good. You look energized.
I appreciate you saying that. Hey, I love embellishment. I love it.
No, listen. Hey, Rob knows. You've known me a long time. I'm not gonna lie. You look good.
Yeah.
The life of a college commissioner is not an easy one these days. We talked with you a little bit last year about it, but how have things changed, even over the last 6 months to a year, as opposed to when you came into this job?
It's interesting. We had a meeting with our ADs a couple of weeks ago, and I have a deputy commissioner named Jill Redmond, and I walked into Jill's office and I said, am I wrong? And calming down isn't the right word or the right group of words, but it's probably more an understanding of where we're at and just as individual institutions and as a conference office, trying to figure out the best way to manage it. We now have a better understanding of what NIL is. We have a better understanding of the impact of the House settlement. We have a better understanding of the transfer portal and how we need to react to it. We have a better understanding of how we need to engage our fan bases and understanding the new environment. I think all those things are moving in a direction that everybody's embracing. So it's a little different over the last couple months, where I think, in all candor, for that 10 to 12 month period prior to that, you feel like you're running around with your hair on fire. And again, I don't have any hair, so that's probably not an apt analogy. But, you just kind of feel, that you're always playing catch up. And maybe over the last couple months are the first few times where we started to feel like we can be somewhat proactive in some of our thoughts and how we look at some things. So it's getting better. Look, this environment was always coming. I think it's important that the constituencies I represent, whether we're talking about our presidents and chancellors or we're talking about our ADs or our coaches, they've embraced it. Our conference wants to set the pace. We want to be very good at what we do with the investment that we make. And so I think we're being pretty creative and pretty, sagacious about how we go about that process.
Well, I don't know if the people listening can tell by the commissioner using words like sagacious, but you are a Cornell grad. So it's obvious that education was something very important for you growing up. While we're dealing with the transfer portal now, how do you, as a commissioner, as someone that has been a Division I college basketball coach for a huge portion of your professional career, how do you help these guys ensure that, yes, we want to make sure that these student athletes get extra opportunities, that they can transfer, that they can do these other things that they should be allowed to do, while also making sure that you prioritize? At the end of the day, most of these student athletes are not going to end up being professional athletes. They got to find a way to be able to make sure that those degrees come. How do you focus on that, and how do you help your coaches navigate that?
Rob, I think the great thing for me is I don't necessarily have to do anything different than I was doing 2 or 3 years ago when I took this job, because we have great villages on our campuses, starting with our presidents and chancellors, our athletic directors, and our coaches. The alignment in terms of how we treat our student athletes, how we care for our student athletes, the North Star in terms of what I think you're alluding to, Rob, the importance of education. Those things haven't changed. And we understand that we may have a little bit more of transition when it comes to our rosters, but I don't think our schools in any way have lost sight of what the most important thing is, because you're right. You made a great point. I think even a better point is, in some ways, is that, we're going to have some young people who are going to make more money in 1 year playing college basketball than they may make in any 1 year the rest of their lives. Okay, so it's not just preparing people from an academic vantage point, but how do you also prepare them mentally and emotionally so that when this, this adventure is over, that they're in a position not only to graduate, but to work, perform, and be successful in their next stage of life. And I think that has not vacillated in any way in terms of how our presidents and chancellors, how our coaches, and how our athletic directors look at this new environment. I think we're exactly where we were 3 years ago, which that is our North Star, making sure that our student athletes, not only have a great experience on campus, but are prepared for the next stage of life. And what we all know is a challenging environment out there. It's not easy.
It is not easy. There's so much to try to get your arms around right now, and things are evolving so quickly, right? I mean, obviously you've got rev share coming out and starting up, and this past year was kind of, crazy because it was a free for all before rev share went in, so everybody's trying to pay as much as they could out before July hit, and I don't know. I can't wait till games start, Jeff. I can't wait because the off season isn't nearly as much fun as it used to be. I don't know the names. You don't either. And we're getting older. So it's harder for us to remember the names as it is. And the rosters are changing so much. That's why when I look at like you and I and Ben Jacobson and what he's coming back, I feel like, man, he's got such an advantage now over everybody else, whether it's, in the league even, but nationally, especially a guy like that he's so about development. And now to be able to have that, I don't know. I love the fact that this is a team that I think is going to make a major jump nationally again this year.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with that. And if you've had the chance, and you probably have, to spend some time with Ben, you understand why. I mean, so grounded, so much in support of the student athlete experience. Seasoned, understands all the things that surround and is necessary to have a successful program. So it's hard not to feel very confident about what I think they'll be able to accomplish this upcoming season. I think we have a few other teams that certainly are going to give them a run for their money. But, the most important thing is, and you spoke to it a little bit earlier, Jeff, is, college sports have always been about the name on the front of the jersey. And that may be even more prevalent now, as you said, with the transition in the rosters that we have. And so, I think our programs are looking at it in terms of, what can Illinois State do to be successful? What can Bradley do to be successful? What can UIC do to be successful? And understanding that, there may be some change, but that doesn't in any way minimize the things that we find important, the passion and the effort that we put forward, and the excitement that we can bring on our campuses when our programs are successful.
Tournament expansion. Everyone's talking about field of 72, field of 76. You can see right here, we have all of this stuff that says the field of 68 on it. At what point, Jeff, you think I have to start investing in something new? And is that something that you support? Do you want to see a larger?
Yeah, Rob, I hope as soon as possible. Okay, I'm not saying that the field of 76 sounds as sexy as the field of 68. I'll leave that, to those who are evaluating those type of things. But I would hope as soon as possible. I think there are so many quality teams, and obviously we're a conference that maybe over the last couple of years our programs have been in those conversations. But does anybody think that if Drake didn't win our tournament, that they didn't deserve a place in the field? And I'm not saying that they would not have been able to get into the first 68, but I certainly would go to bed at night feeling a lot more comfortable if there was 8 more slots for them to be selected in. And I think the same thing holds true of the previous season in regards to Indiana State. So, and I think those teams proved in the postseason, whether it was the run that Indiana State had in the NIT or the success that Drake had against Missouri in the NCAA tournament, that they deserve to be in the tournament. So, we probably have a field that's a little bit too narrow considering how many schools make legitimate investments in the sport of basketball. So I'm hopeful that at some point we're able to get to 76. And as far as I'm concerned, the quicker the better.
Jeff, what at Missouri Valley meetings, what was the biggest hot button topic that wasn't involving NIL? Was there something among the coaches?
We spent a lot of time. We spent a lot of time trying to figure out how we get multiple teams into the tournament. That was probably the thing that we spoke about the most with our coaches and our athletic directors in the spring. Whether that is how we schedule, not only when it comes to our non-conference competition, what we do in conference, how we're looking at our tournament, Arch Madness that we play in St. Louis. We brought Kevin Plogga in. We brought Joe Lenardi in. to have conversations. And again, those guys are so good with the metrics, so that they're able to, impart some information that isn't subjective. Hey, stats are stats, again, now you can do certain things with numbers, but a lot of things in numbers, they just are what they are. So we spent a lot of time just trying to figure out, how do we get better? How do we make sure what we've been able to accomplish? Because we've been really fortunate. We've been a conference that over the last couple of years people have been talking about because we've had that one team. 2 years ago was Indiana State. Last year was Drake having exceptional seasons. We certainly would like to grow into an environment in which we've got 2 or 3 teams having that type of success at the same time. And so we're spending a lot of time trying to figure out how we can help our campuses create that type of synergy and at the same time be in a position to take advantage of it in terms of what we do in a non-conference space, what we do during the course of the season, and certainly what we do in Arch Madness in St. Louis when we hold our championship.
How are you? What's the plan in season, right? Like you mentioned Drake last season, you mentioned Indiana State the year before that. There's got to be a push internally when these seasons are happening to kind of get information out there about this is what they accomplished. This is what their resume looks like. This is what their metrics looks like. How do you guys, what's your plan of attack when you get to kind of January and February to promote the teams that you do have in your league that are in the mix for the at-large?
Well, remember the NCAA tournament. And again, I think obviously the media, we've been fortunate. The media has been really kind to us. Okay. They've kind of run with the Missouri Valley Conference story over the last couple of years because we had 2 special stories in terms of but maybe the most important thing is the interaction that we have with the NCAA selection committee during the course of the year, where we're constantly talking to our monitors and those are the gentlemen or gentle ladies who we have the opportunity to talk to in terms of, hey, what's going on with your conference? Who's good? Who's bad? Who's hurt? Who's on a run? Who's struggling? And we really try and drill down. Sometimes that drilling down is metric driven. Sometimes it's a little bit subjective. Sometimes it's comparison in regards to what is going on in other conferences. Sometimes it's predictive. So we spend a lot of time with what we like to think the important people in the room to make sure they understand, how good our product is, how hard it is to find a pathway to success in a conference like the Missouri Valley.
Well, listen, we appreciate you joining us, Jeff. Always. It's great to see you. We can't wait to get going.
My pleasure. Thank you so much. I'm looking forward to being in Sioux Falls for the opening tournament with 68. We've got Murray State and we've got Drake playing up there, and then in Winthrop, I guess, and I almost wanted to say Charlotte because it's so close to the area. But
it's close.
Yeah,
you're close.
We've got Bradley down there, and again, it's an opportunity for us as a conference to get off to a good start, to evaluate, to figure out what we need to do to get better. Those are 3 outstanding coaches. I have no questions they'll represent the Missouri Valley extremely well, and we're excited and looking forward to a great season.
Well, we're excited to have your teams involved. There's a reason why we targeted a number of Missouri Valley teams to bring them into the event and try to put on some of our platforms. So I'm gonna give you all the credit and say you're the one that convinced all these coaches to come join us. So I appreciate your influence. Appreciate you jumping on here, and here's to another great season of Missouri Valley basketball.
Thanks, thanks a lot, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Jeff.
The college basketball season will begin right here on the Field of 68. At 8 a.m. on November 3rd, we will be tipping off the inaugural Field of 68 opening day marathon. 15 hours of nonstop basketball. It will begin in Rock Hill, presented by our friends at Visit York County. Plan your itinerary today at visityorkcounty.com. Winthrop will face off with Queens in the opener, followed by Bradley taking on St. Bonaventure. Then we head out to Sioux Falls, South Dakota, where it'll be presented by Sanford Sports, who is changing the way people play and making sports accessible and fun for all. Murray State gets Omaha at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, with Drake taking on Northern Arizona in the second game in Sioux Falls. Then it's back to Rock Hill for a showdown between Furman and High Point, with Merrimack taking on South Dakota State in Sioux Falls in the nightcap. Tickets for all 6 games are on sale now at the links in the description below. Field of 68, opening day.
Valley Media Day here on the Field of 68. Rob Dauster, Jeff Goodman, and we are now joined by Belmont head coach Casey Alexander. First of all, Casey, it's great to see you, man. It's always fun to catch up with you. Second of all, I think that you have the single best story in college basketball on your roster, and Tyler Lundblade. He is a guy that went from being a walk-on at 2 different programs, losing spots here, losing spots there. He comes to see you guys. He plays with you guys. He earns a scholarship, and he, oh, by the way, might be the best shooter in college basketball this season. Talk to me about Tyler and how much fun it is to coach this guy.
Yeah, a lot of fun. The guy works super hard. He's earned every bit of success that he has enjoyed on our team. You know, it's he joined us in the last summer after we had finished our team workouts. He wasn't even part of our team really until August rolled around and kind of fall camp started. And it took him a good while to get himself going. It's not like he just, started at a 10 and never looked back. He had to find his way. We wondered what his role would be. But over the course of time, clearly he showed how dynamic he can be as a shooter, and his confidence is at an all-time high.
The story of how he ended up at Belmont is really cool. Can you just kind of walk me through how you found him, where he came from, and how he ended up at your program?
Yeah, the shortest version is he was 1 year. He's from Texas, from Dallas. So he goes to SMU as a freshman, plays for Tim Jankovich. Jank gets let go at the end of that season, so he transfers across town to TCU, where he technically was a walk-on there for 2 seasons as well. The irony in some of this is 3 seasons he went in as a walk-on, had all 3 years paid for. But then Jank calls me because he leaves TCU kind of in the 11th hour, not really at his choosing. Jank calls me and says, I think this guy would be good for you. And, I'm like, hey, we have nothing to lose. We don't have any scholarships. If he wants to pay his way, he's a great kid. He's a 4.0 student. He fits our profile for what we like, and the rest is history. So, yeah, so all of us are just waiting on Jank to send me that finder's fee. I haven't heard from him yet.
Hey, Casey, a year ago, really the last few years, it's been tough for you because, Belmont is a program based on culture, on development, on evaluation, on all those things. And let's face it, you're not the only ones, but you've been rated. And kind of what made Belmont's course so great has kind of been taken away from it to some degree. You got to kind of refine yourself here and adjust. But this past offseason was a little bit different. You didn't lose that much to the portal. You only lost 1 guy to the portal. You lost some guys to graduation. But what was that like this year, and how were you able to maybe readjust to be able to figure this thing out a little bit differently?
Yeah, we lose Isaiah Walker to the portal. Isaiah was a 4-year guy for us that actually graduated from Belmont, led us in minutes last year. And so we were disappointed there, but we understood, what his decision was. And so we do move into this season with a little bit more clarity with our roster. It feels so much better because you don't have to start over. You spend all year, who your seniors are going to be and who you're losing as a senior. But you don't know who's going to transfer out. And in this case, with it just being Isaiah, it gave us such a better starting point this summer with our current roster. And I think we're much, much farther along. There's enough time, no matter what your roster looks like, to get ready to play games and put your offense and defense in. But understanding the personalities of each individual player, and when the lights come on, who's going to rise to the top? How are they going to be in games? How are they going to be when they're playing or getting taken out of games? Those kinds of things are a feel through process with new players. And we have the luxury this year of having a lot of the guys back.
Casey, everybody loves putting together these like breakout players lists, right? And the way that you kind of go through that process is, for me at least, go and look who was maybe a backup or only played a few minutes a game, but was really productive and scored a lot of points or got a lot of rebounds or made a lot of shots in those minutes that they did play. I think you got 2 of them this year, Sam Orm and Drew Charnowski, 2 guys that are redshirt sophomores that have been in the program a couple of years that I think really have a chance to take a step forward this season. What have you seen from those guys this spring and this summer, and what are you expecting out of them this year?
Yeah, I completely agree with you. Both guys redshirted as freshmen due to injuries. Sam Orm has a labrum tear and basically he didn't even practice as a freshman. And then Sharnowski had some lingering knee problems that hurt him in the fall, and we just decided to redshirt. So last year was really, even though they've been in our program already, it was really the first year either one of them had a chance to put a package together. And both showed great flashes of what they can do, and both still suffered from a lot of injuries. And so clearly what we need the most from them is for them to be available. And I think if they are, we'll see exactly what you're asking about, which is two really dynamic players with length and athleticism, guys that can play all over the floor and do a multitude of things that help your team win.
What was kind of the biggest thing that you wanted to do this past offseason? It looked like you had a little bit more versatility. You're a little bit deeper. You had a couple of those freshmen who redshirted last year, which you guys have done so well over the years. What was it in particular that you were trying to do to maybe make this team a little bit better this year?
Well, a lot of it, as we've already talked about, was out of our control because we didn't know who was staying and who was leaving. So the first objective for all of us, I think, if you like your players, is retention. And we have a really good nucleus of maybe 5 guys that played significant minutes, were heavily in our rotation that return. But we also have 3 red shirts that we feel like will be plug and play guys, all double-digit minute guys that were in the program last year. So you're looking at, kind of 8 returners from day one who know your program, know your system, know you as a coach. And that's a really significant place to start. We're cautious because it feels better and a little bit easier, doesn't mean our team is going to be better. But I am cautiously optimistic because I like the talent of our group. I like the versatility of our group, as you mentioned, and I think we've got a chance to be the best Belmont team that the Valley has seen so far.
So you mentioned cautiously optimistic. I think the consistency of Belmont should tell you why you should be cautiously optimistic. And I got a stat for you here. All right. My producer is sending this to me. There are 3 teams that over the course of the last 15 seasons have won at least 20 games in all 15 seasons. Do you know who those 3 teams are?
Belmont, Kansas, Oregon, maybe. No, Gonzaga and Oregon, maybe.
Yep. How did you get that?
Hey, because we have to recruit these young men and tell them how good we are all the time.
That's right. That's one of the first things that comes out of Casey's mouth when he's recruiting. Come on.
That's right. I've got it I got a bumper sticker right now on my car.
Well, what does it mean and what does it say about Belmont that you can put that stat out there and you guys are in the same conversation as the Gonzagas and the Oregons of the world?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a credit to Belmont, the institution. I mean, they give us everything that we need to kind of plug and play and have success. We've got great facilities. We've got a lot of tradition with championships. We've got a great city that's very attractive to young men. We've got a culture that is extraordinarily dependable. I think that's one thing that we really emphasize at Belmont is what you're going to get. There's been very little change over the course of time. We've got 3 former players on our staff, myself, who graduated in the 90s, Karan Johnson, who graduated in 2013, Luke Smith, who graduated in 2022. And we tell everybody that, even though the names have changed and the leagues have changed and the players are definitely better than they ever have been, Belmont's still Belmont, and you can believe in what you're looking at. And that's been a real key for our success.
All right, Casey, last year you told a great story. As you know, I'm a big-time practical joker. Well, Rob knows that as well. You told a hell of a story back in the day when you got one of your teammates at like 3 a.m. when he went to the bathroom. You went into his bed and scared the living you-know-what out of him when he got back into bed after going to the bathroom. Have you gotten anybody in the last year? And would you go after Brian Ayers, your assistant, at all? Or is he too intimidating for you to do and you're scared of the repercussions?
Have I got anybody in the last year? Yes. It's probably been less than 24 hours since I've gotten somebody, even if it's in my own home. But, I'm a child at heart. And so I will maintain that goofiness as long as I still have a job and my key still works to the front door. But Brian Ayers is old, and the geriatric nature of his existence, I worry significantly about what could happen if I expose
So
that.
you can only go, wait. So are you saying you can only go like under a certain age, or is it just heirs?
Yeah, women are off limits. First of all, I'll try to make that really clear, and then age is a little worrisome at times. I do not, the liability that's involved in scaring old people, not good.
Well, that's good news for Jeff. That means you're not going to have to scare him. He's pushing 60 these days, Casey. All right. Another guy I wanted to ask.
It means, so.
I wanted to ask you about Nick McLean as well. You got a transfer coming in from Eastern Washington at the point. I think it's always hard with the point guard transfer because there's so much reliance on, the coach on the floor and all those kind of archetypes of what you look for out of a point guard. How has his adjustment been to your program?
It's been good. He's an old guy. He's one of the few kind of COVID sixth-year guys still hanging around. He's a beneficiary of the non-NCAA rule that allowed guys to get an extra season. So, and he's also a player that's very familiar with our program. His brother Kevin was a tremendous player on our 2019 team that won a first-round NCAA tournament game, and Kevin is still playing over in Germany, I believe. So he's a guy that loves what Belmont's about. It was a pretty easy recruiting process when he went into the portal. He's got really good size, which is great for our league. As you guys know, it's a tough physical league, and so having a guard with that kind of size will be really important to us. I would say that position on the floor, the point guard spot, we have a lot of guys that can play it, but the unknown of how that is going to shake out as far as minutes and production and impact is today our biggest question mark. I'm not concerned that it'll that we'll have what we need. I'm just not exactly sure, what it's going to look like.
Casey, who's been the biggest surprise of the offseason? Is there somebody that has made a significant jump? And, sometimes and I know you guys are able to work with them through the offseason a little bit more. So like years ago, you couldn't do as much, so you'd be more surprised. But is there anybody that's really stood out?
Yeah, I'll go two different answers on that. One's Brigham Rogers, who's a guy that has yet to wow anybody with his numbers or performance, but he's been so solid and so impactful at just being an everyday lunch pail kind of guy. His confidence is better. I expect him to keep climbing incrementally as far as his impact on our team, and I would never want to overlook that kind of contribution. And then the other side, I mentioned the three red shirts that we have. I think all three of them will step in as freshmen and play significant minutes. But Bez Jenkins and Owen Dillon have, they're probably in a starting lineup category, at least in the top 6-7, I would say.
All right, last one I got for you, Casey, is I was scrolling through your roster, and there was a name on there I didn't necessarily recognize. It's Bryce Bradley. Talk to me a little bit about who Bryce is and his association with your program.
I'm so glad you asked. Bryce is a team impact roster member for us. Bryce has cerebral palsy and has been with our team for 4 or 5 years and has been a great addition. It's the classic. He gives us a whole lot more than we give him, but it's awesome to have he and his dad Adam and his mom Mary Beth, his brother Ben. They're around practices and games a lot. Very much an incremental part of what we're doing. We're very proud and pleased to be able to make a positive impact on his life, and that's what Team Impact is all about.
All right. Well, Casey, it's great to see you, man. Thanks for jumping on. This is Missouri Valley Media Day here on the Field of 68. We'll be back with more coming up after this.
Athlete AI is the story of an athlete. And every athlete deserves to have the story told. Under the lights and in the spotlight. This is your game, your moment, your rule. Download, capture, create, share. Athlete AI. Your name is trending.
Welcome back, Missouri Valley Media Day here on the Field of 68 Media Network. Rob Dauster, Jeff Goodman, and we are now joined by Brian Wardle from Bradley. Year 11, Wardle, year 11. I honestly cannot believe that you've been there for that long. I feel like I'm aging you a little bit, and I don't want to be mean, but it just you've built something at Bradley. It's been really impressive to see grow. How you doing, man? It's good to see you.
It's good to see you guys. Yeah, it's been a great run. My family, we love Peoria. It's a special place for basketball. And we've been able to build this program up and keep pushing to elevate it to new levels, and that's really why it's a great job right now. And I'm grateful for the opportunity I was given here, the extensions, Dr. Reynolds, my AD. Gratitude is big with me when it comes to this business, and we just want to keep taking this program to another level. I think we can do it, and we're working hard to try to accomplish that now.
Hey, so a year ago, you felt great. Everybody else had lost a ton. You come back, you got everybody back. You win 28 games last year. You lead the country in three-point shooting. All is great at Bradley with Brian Wardle. And this year, looks like your hairline has receded a little bit. And I'm no one to talk. I get that. But
You're right.
You
You're
lost
right, Jeff.
73% of your scoring. It is a little different. There are a lot of question marks right now. I assume even you being a month out from the start of the season, which we'll talk about that opening day game here in a minute, but what's it been like in the offseason?
Well, the gray hairs I'm hiding. Trust me, they are there, Jeff. And actually, my wife just told me that the other day. My hairline's moving back. So this is not good, Rob. 11. Maybe this is what happens when you're 11 years at one place. But I'll tell you what, I have a really talented group in the locker room, but we are young. I mean, I got a lot of newcomers, like a lot of teams do in the country, but I have 8 freshmen and sophomores. So it's been a teaching, patience with a deadline type idea all off season. And I got a lot of new staff members too, because of our success, I've lost coaches, and which I'm very happy about, because my job, I always say, is to develop my coaches just like my players. But it's been a lot of teaching, slowing down, almost recreating and rebuilding our culture in a way, which kind of has excited me all off season. It's been fun to get back in the trenches and build it back up and build the standards back up. But I do have a good group of returners that have won us games, but just haven't been maybe a starter or played starter minutes yet. So I'm excited to see where we go, but I do think it's going to be, I'm a big process-driven coach like everybody. You guys hear that all the time, but I do think it's a 1 day, 1 week at a time with this team, and I think we'll get better as the season goes on.
Yeah, you mentioned that you had to replace a number of staff members. I think that is an underrated part of what happens in an offseason with the team, because it's with a head coach, the way that kind of works is you teach your guys what you want to teach the players, right? And when you have to start teaching the staff how you want them to teach and how you want them to implement stuff and different terminology and this, that, and the third, it just adds another layer to the process of getting to know everybody. What has that been like for you, and how have you kind of helped them along the way get used to what you expect as the head coach of a program?
Yeah, just more communication, more staff meetings in the morning. Here's how we do things here. This is what has helped us win championships and sustain a high level of play. Whether it's the morning breakfast club shooting, the details. I'm a stickler for details. The standards are high. I'm a lock into a details type coach. Here's the details that are important to this program, and we can't turn our cheek to things. I like the gym spotless clean. I like it clean after practice. I'm big on the locker room looking a certain way. We are professionals now. We have to treat it very as a professional, and that's what we're teaching these young men, how to be pros when they leave us, whether bouncing the ball or in the office. I want them to have a professional mindset and a personable mindset every day. And so it's been fun for me to just kind of, guide my staff in that direction. I think they've enjoyed it. I think they've learned, what has helped us over the years. And then they've brought me a lot of new stuff, and I've learned from them too. So it's been really fun with the coaches, because I think we've added a few things that I think can maybe help this group of personnel downstairs be successful this year.
Hey, Wardle, how has A.J. Smith looked so far this offseason? I know you're expecting a lot of him transferring from JMU.
Yeah, AJ has worked really hard all summer on his three-point shooting. I think that's one thing we wanted to get better, was get him consistently being able to knock down threes. There were certain things in his game when we recruited him. We said, we're going to be in the gym working with you on it. I think he's improved those areas. So he's a tremendous young man. I mean, he's a man. I shouldn't say young man. He's a grown man who has a lot of minutes, and he's 6'7", extremely strong, tremendous rebounder. I think that's the thing. Like, he goes and gets it. And I think we've advanced his offensive repertoire. I think he can do more offensively. So I'm excited to see what he does, and he's a matchup, problem at the wing forward spot. So we're going to use him some different ways, and I hope that it can be his best year of his career.
You mentioned that you have a team that is as talented as any team that you've had, right? 5 freshmen coming in. 3 of them are guys that are highly ranked and highly regarded. And to be frank, I don't know if would have been someone that you could have gotten if it wasn't this era of college basketball. I think that there is
I agree.
a lane for programs like Bradley to bring in high level 4 stars, to bring in local kids. I think you got 2 of the top 4 recruits from Illinois coming into your program, develop them. And if it's 2, 3, 4 years, whatever it is, and then get them off to the next thing. I feel like you can kind of if you can find that lane and make it work for you, it's a really good way to kind of get in talent and develop talent and coach some guys that can be really, really good basketball players.
You're 100% right. And that's what we've done with our program is, Dietrich Richardson, Matthew Zobrist, Montana Wheeler, all 3 of them are extremely talented. They got to fit, they're physically getting ready for this level, but they know I think they came here because they know we've developed players. We've helped players even move up and move on in their careers, whether it's they're here for 4 years and go at a high level of pro ball, or, we've had Rink Mass, we've had Connor Hickmans, Terry Roberts. We've had players do well too, not just go to high major and maybe get paid a lot of money, but they've done well, they've produced. So I think those 3 guys are extremely talented. That's the depth of talent we have. It's extremely competitive in practice right now because you do have young guys that can, really compete with some older guys with their talent level. But there's also this here in the experience that you guys know, the experience matters. I think as those freshmen get more experience and I can find ways to get them those minutes, they're just going to get better and better and better. But I'm excited. Our guards are younger. We have Alex from Wright State. He's going to be, an AJ, 2 vets that we got in the portal that have produced at a high level and won games for their teams. But to surround them with this talent, with Jaquan Johnson, who's only a sophomore, a Demarion Birch, who's extremely explosive as a junior, and those 3 freshmen, I love our talent. We just need experience and reps in games, and I think that's going to help us.
So November 3rd, last year we did 3 games in Sioux Falls. We added 3 games in Rock Hill. The headline game of Field of 68 opening day showcase is Bradley versus St. Bonaventure this year. I can't wait. Now, I will say this. Last year, we had in Sioux Falls, Will Wade, during a timeout, came over and ate a plate that I delivered him of chislic, which is the state food in South Dakota. Wardle, I don't know if you're as loose during a game as Will Wade.
That sounds like Will. Will's a friend of mine. That sounds like Will.
Can we do anything fun? Like, are you going to be, like this, and we can't do anything, a little bit different for that, or where are we at?
No, you know me, Jeff. I'm a pretty laser focused coach, but I do like to have some fun. And I am, I'm looser on game days than I am in the preparation. I put a lot of time in the preparation and in practice and shoot around. When I come to the game, I'm real loose. I'm calm. I'm excited because I know we're prepared. I'm big in preparation. So I will have some fun, Jeff. Let me know what we got to do, but we'll definitely enjoy it and have a good time. And I'm looking forward to that game. It's there. I got a lot of respect for Coach and St. Bonnie and the program and what he's done. And I'm excited to see where we're at. Because that's going to be a great test for us first game of the year to really see, they're going to expose us. And that's what you want early in the season for us, is to see what we have to get better at as the season goes on.
How long do you think it takes now to feel like what you have out of your team and versus what it would have been maybe when you started at Bradley? How much has it changed?
Well, when you have a whole new roster, I would say, by Christmas you should know, in my opinion. I think especially if you've been healthy, you'll have a much better feel. You have to build a team together in 8-9 months. I'm learning how to do that better. I think every coach in America is learning how to do that better because we have done a job of retaining. So I've been fortunate and blessed enough to retain 85% of my players or more. But this year, we graduated 9 seniors. 4 started. 6 played a ton. So this is a whole different ball game. I think we will know by Christmas, like I told my staff the other day, where we're at, what we have to tweak, what fits these guys in our leadership. Because right now we're still defining leadership. We're still trying to find lineups that play well together and how they do it. And really, you can't figure that out till you play games. You can try to simulate games as much as you want in practice. It's really hard to do. So we have an exhibition at Green Bay, and we got St. Louis coming into town for 2 exhibitions. That should help hopefully speed up the process this year for us.
All right, I got a couple fun things that I dug into here to try to get a few Wardle stories. First of all, I don't think people realize this isn't a Wardle story, but this guy, Rob, when he graduated from Marquette, was the 3rd all-time leading scorer at Marquette. I don't know where you are now. I don't know how many people have passed you since then.
I've been passed up a lot. Yeah, I don't even know, to be honest. No idea.
But yeah, no, an incredible player at Marquette. Also a big Bears fan, which we talked about a year ago. What was it like years ago when you were out in the links having a golf with, maybe not having a golf with Aaron Rodgers, but golfing with Aaron Rodgers? Give me a good Aaron Rodgers story.
Oh, when I was at Green Bay, Mike McCarthy was tremendous to our program when he was the head coach of Green Bay Packers. And you got to understand, Jeff, I'm a diehard Bears fan. So when I went to Green Bay as assistant and took over as head coach, my wife, though, was born in Wisconsin. All my kids were born in Green Bay. So they're all Packer fans. So we're a Packer-Bears split household. But but obviously the Packers have had the bragging rights for a long time on me. But Mike McCarthy was great. Aaron Rodgers, super smart guy. We might have enjoyed a nice beverage together and talked a little ball. But I just like I like being around successful people. It's the old Nick Saban, high achievers like to be around high achievers. When I have that opportunity, I try to pick brains a little bit about leadership and communication and things that can maybe help me. And really enjoyed, playing with him. And he was a great guy, humble. And it was fun talking, competition and leadership aspects of what we do.
All right, I got one more. And I don't know if this is true or not, but the lore is that there was a story about a deer on the way to Buck's Summer League or something with D. Wade in the car. Is this true? Tell me this story.
Yeah, it's funny. I don't know if I've ever talked about this publicly, but Dwayne was a freshman. Wade, I was a senior. I just finished my senior year, and I'm sure Dwayne remembers this because it's one of those experiences you don't forget. I borrowed my girlfriend's car at the time, which is now my wife, Felicia's car. I was dating her. She was a soccer player at Marquette. And Coach Crean calls me up. He's like, "Hey, the Bucks want you at a workout." And I'm just trying, I had a good career, but I'm chasing the dream. I'm taking any opportunity that comes for me. I got to go. And he goes, "And I want you to bring Dwayne with." I said, "Perfect." That was a no-brainer. I practiced against him every day. You knew he was going to be an NBA player. You didn't know really how great until after that day. I will stand by my word. We go to the Bucks, and that's when Cassell, Big Dog, Gray Allen were all there. They were really good. And we played, just to sum it up, we played pickup. On the way there, we hit like a rainstorm. We slid out on the highway and crashed into the side. Luckily, the front of her Honda Passport crashed on their side. Me and Dwayne were fine, but I was a little shook because I just crashed my girlfriend's car. It could still run. And so I, of course, we're still going. I got to get this opportunity. So we drive over there. I park a car that's just smashed into one side of the front. We go in. We play open gym. I'm terrible. I played bad. But do you know who did not play bad? That man, D. Wade. Because I watched that gym open pickup or whatever it was, and I saw him put in work against all-stars in the NBA at that time. And I knew he was special. His work ethic was great. He's a super smart player. But I just sat there that day going, oh, my goodness, like this guy's different. He's different. And then I'll never forget, Coach Crean calls me later today. He's like, "Well, how'd it go?" I go, "Well, I was not very good. I needed to make shots. I needed to stand in the corner and make shots. That's what I was. I did not do that well that day." He goes, "Well, how'd Dwayne play?" I go, "Coach, enjoy him while you have him, because this man this guy's different." And I just saw him tear up all-stars in an open gym. So that is a true story, Jeff. That's a good one.
All right. Well, I just want to clarify one thing, Coach. You said that you live in a split household, right? And it's you are the Bears fan and everybody else is the Packers fan. that true?
Yes.
It doesn't sound very split
Yes,
to me. It sounds like there's one guy that's on the
Well, it's true.
outside and everybody else is on the inside.
And I hear it, and I had bragging rights yesterday. So trust me, I was laying into my family last night about the Bears. Huge dub. Ben Johnson, I love him. Let's go, Caleb. And then the Packers, they tricked one off yesterday. So it was bragging rights. I get my one day. I don't get many days, so I got to take advantage of them.
Enjoy them. That's right. Enjoy them while you get them.
Enjoy it, Coach. Enjoy it. Well, listen, man, it's great
Sure.
to see you. Can't wait to see. Well, I won't see you. You'll see Goodman down in Rock Hill, but we can't wait to have you on the Field of 68 opening day marathon. More for Missouri Valley Media Day on Field of 68 coming up after this.
Thanks, guys.
Do you need your fix of college basketball analysis at the end of every night during the season? If you crave instant reactions and informed breakdowns, make sure you tune into the Field of 68 After Dark every night with access to the biggest stars in the sport and a cast of characters that includes the likes of Tyler Hansborough, Randolph Childress, John Fanta, John Henson, Terrence Oglesby, Jarrell McNeil, and many, many more. The Field of 68 After Dark is where college basketball happens.
We're back here on Missouri Valley Media Day, and we are now joined by new Drake head coach Eric Henderson. And Hendo, I just want to kind of put this into context, right? Drake's been to the NCAA tournament for the last 5 years. Last year, they went 31-4. They won the Missouri Valley regular season title. They won the Missouri Valley tournament. They beat Missouri in the tournament. And then Ben McCollum, after his first season, left. So that gave you the job, which means that's what we're expecting here, right? 31 wins, win the Valley, win the tournament, get to the dance, win a game. That's the baseline for what we're dealing with the Eric Henderson program, correct?
Oh, you guys are starting off like this, huh? Holy cow. I mean, that's something, isn't it? But hey, I don't know if it's a baseline or not, but I do know this. I'm super excited to be here, and the energy and the enthusiasm around Drake basketball is at an all-time high. So I can't say that's all going to happen, but I can tell you this: we're going to have a lot of fun along the way, and I do like our squad.
Yeah, what was the biggest reason, Eric, that you took the Drake job from South Dakota State? Because obviously you've done a hell of a job at South Dakota State the last, whatever it's been, 6-7 years as a head coach. Why Drake? Why now?
Yeah, it's a great question, because at the end of the day, there's great people at both places. Both places have a tradition of excellence. But at the end of the day, I wanted to challenge myself. I wanted to challenge our staff. I wanted to challenge, the values that we have in our program. But I wanted to make sure I was doing it at a place that had the, resources, the energy, the enthusiasm and excitement for the program, that I felt like we could continue to have success. And I'm an Iowa guy, so that helped as well. But, playing in the Missouri Valley Conference was something that was really, really exciting to me. I have a lot of respect for the programs in our league, the coaches in our league. And at the end of the day, I just felt like it was a great opportunity for me to do all those things.
So last year, Hendo, before the Field of 68 opening day showcase, I remember asking you got a backcourt of just freshmen at South Dakota State, and you're going to go out there and you're going to play McNeese State on the first day of the college basketball season. And you looked at me and you pointed over towards a little point guard that was a freshman, kind of looked like Screech from Saved by the Bell, named Owen Larson. And you're like, that dude right there, he's the real deal. And he went out there, he had a game-winning shot in that game. He played great. He ended up averaging, I think it was 9 points and 3 assists for you. Tore his ACL late in the season. What's his development been in terms of getting healthy, and what are you expecting out of him? Because that's your point guard of the future right there.
Yeah, I mean, like I told you guys a year ago, I mean, Owen, he has all those intangibles, right? Like Tamin Lipsey is one of my favorite point guards in the country, and he has a lot of similarities to Tamin. I'm not saying he is or he isn't, but just that toughness, the ability to make others around you better, and loves the moment. And so, being able to bring him here to Drake with me and our staff was pretty important. And he's getting there. It takes a lot of hard work to be ready. We're certainly hopeful that Owen can play in our first game back in the field of 68, right? Will that be a full go situation? Time will tell. But I know this, it won't be because of a lack of work and a lack of preparation to make that happen. But we're also not going to put him in a bad spot either.
And what's this team going to be like? Obviously, bringing a lot of guys. Larson, a lot of these other guys you've never coached, all of these other guys you've never coached. How do you manage the expectations that people have for Drake basketball right now, with them understanding that this is a completely new group? It's not like what Ben McCollum brought in last year, because he brought a core with him from that he had coached. You're bringing one guy with you.
Yeah, I mean, it is. It's totally different scenario. I mean, obviously, what Ben did here was incredible, and he's a terrific coach, obviously. But he was able to bring, a core group with him that understood how he wanted to play, his system per se, or however you want to call it. That's not necessarily the case with us, But the excitement's no different. I guarantee you that. I mean, I do believe that we brought a talented group in. I think we have some versatility. I want to continue to play very similar to the way we played at South Dakota State. I think our guys, are very versatile and they're very unselfish. We've always been a very, very good passing team, and I think this team can be that way. But when I look at this group that we put together, I wanted to make sure we got older guys that had some experience. We could play super, super physical. And my goal is to be one of the best defensive teams in our league. And I think we can be that. We've got great size. We've got some great athleticism in the backcourt that can really put some pressure on guys. And then I want to make sure we're taking advantage of opportunities offensively from our defense too. So there'll be a lot of similarities in the way we play, but just working on that connectivity right now and our guys' understanding of how we want to play with that freedom and confidence. It's a work in progress. And so our people understand, though, we're going to compete our butts off every day. That doesn't mean we're going to win every game we play. And our fans understand that. So we're really, really looking forward to getting started here.
Which of these transfers that are coming in, these new faces, has impressed you the most in off-season workouts in the spring and the fall?
They've all had moments, but guys that really stick out to me, a guy like Jalen Quinn, who had a really, really significant role at Loyola last year, has been dynamite. He can really, really guard the basketball. I think he'll be one of the better perimeter defenders in our league. And offensively, he can really, really get to the paint, which is important for the way we play. Oku Frederico, who was a transfer from South Carolina. He didn't play last year. He got over late second semester and sat out the rest of the year. But he has, 6'10" with some guard skills. You'll see him bringing up the ball in transition at times. And so he's really had some moments that have been terrific. Will Exact, who played at Utah, started at Utah, his career at Utah, and then was at Bowling Green last year, brings us some versatility. Isaiah Carr, Jay-Sean Thomas, those guys, Braden Applehans, a guy from New Mexico, can really shoot it. They've all had moments, right? And the way we play, I think, can give our guys a lot of confidence and kind of they get a breath of fresh air sometimes. And that's nothing. That's not a knock on any of the programs that they were at. But I do feel like we give them, a bunch of confidence and a bunch of freedom, and a lot of guys like that. And so now there's a lot of discipline on the other side as well. But those are some of the guys that have probably stood out early to us.
All right, so Hendo, people in the Missouri Valley don't know your personality yet. I've had trouble getting some dirt on some coaches in the Valley. I'm not going to lie. You are not one of them. You are not one of them.
I can believe that.
I got a couple of good things that I want to hit you with. Let's start with the little bit simpler one. I think you're the only active college basketball coach right now that was a high school principal. Right? I mean,
I was that. Not only was that, I was a second grade teacher as well. But hey, some of the best started in that, right? So we'll see what happens.
Give me your favorite story of when you had to come down on a kid for something they did as a high school principal? Because I know you. You're not that tough. You're not a guy who's jumping your players all the time. You're kind of soft. Give me that time when you had to really maybe send a kid to detention or something, or after school, whatever it was.
Man, some of those are pretty hard to tell now, those stories. But I remember this wasn't even a principal. This was when I was teaching second grade.
Okay.
I was teaching second grade, and there was a note being passed between two kids. And I said, "Hey, come on, man, you got to give me that note." So they gave me the note. I didn't even read it. I put it in my pocket, let it ride. Recess comes up, and this is second grade, remember? And the note read, "Will you have blank with me? Check yes or no." And I'm like, oh my gosh. So I'm like, I take this to the principal. And he goes, "Oh boy, Hendo, are we going to have fun with this?" So I let him deal with it, but that's something that was pretty memorable.
All right. We'll go on a different direction here. And
please.
Yeah, this is no better. I'm going to warn you, this is no better. You were a really good player at Wayne State. Your head coach back then, you know where I'm going with this, was Greg McDermott.
I'm well aware. I don't know where. I have a couple places this could go.
All right, there was an NCAA regional game where in the last minute, you guys lost this game. Brutal game, tough loss. Explain to me, describe to all the people how you guys lost this game.
Oh man, I may or may not have missed a few free throws down the stretch, but he wasn't smart enough. He wasn't smart enough to take me out, I guess, at that time.
How many free throws was it, Hendo?
It was just 2, but they were two pretty big ones.
He said it was 4.
He's lost his mind. He's past 60 now. He can't remember. It was my teammate that missed the other 2.
It sounds a lot better when it's you missing 4.
There might have been a few extras earlier. I don't remember. I'll tell you what, though, I went back that next year and I worked so hard at that. I felt so bad for my teammates, man, because that was crushing. I'll tell you that much.
All right, I'm gonna try my best to get this thing back on the rails. Okay, so you're coming from South Dakota and you're going to Iowa, which means you're kind of going to be recruiting in the same waters, so to speak, right? Like you actually got a South Dakota State kid or a South Dakota kid that committed to you as a freshman right now, Griffin Goodberry. So how valuable is that? I think one of the hardest things when you take a new job is learning the landscape of the new place that you're going to be at, figuring out these AAU coaches, these high school coaches, this is who I got to talk to, this is where I got to look at. How valuable is it to kind of already know the recruiting grounds that you're going to be stepping your toe in?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty valuable. I mean, obviously, we're going to recruit some of the same guys, that we did at South Dakota State. But more importantly, it's a lot of the connections that you have. I think you can still take advantage of. At Drake, we are, in a lot of different reasons. I think being able to, get a little bit higher level player, I think is certainly a possibility. And so. But you're still using a lot of those same connections, right? We want to continue to recruit Midwest kids, even though, we are going to recruit all across the country. I mean, the product that we have to sell here at Drake is incredibly special. It's an incredible degree that they're going to get. They get to live in a community that's amazing. And obviously the way we play, I think, is a fun style. And so to be able to use those connections that we've had in the past is certainly important. But we were able to bring in a couple new staff members that, when you do that, you bring in more connections. And so we've been able to recruit, a different type of player as well, but also in some regions that we haven't maybe been able to recruit at South Dakota State. So it is important, but being able to continue to, expand that reach is also valuable as well.
All right, last question. If I said to you, X needs to happen in order for Drake to compete for another NCAA tournament berth this year, what would that be?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's two X's probably. Number one, I think we need to stay healthy. I think we have a group of guys that I think can be super competitive if we stay healthy. And then I think if we continue to grow our connectivity, especially on the defensive end, if we become the best defensive team in the league, we're going to give ourselves a chance every single night. And I think we can do that. I think we got great versatility in the way we can guard. We can be super athletic. We got great length. And then obviously we got to get first shot rebounds. But I think, it's our goal, at the end of the year to see Drake basketball, either one or two in the Missouri Valley Conference when you're looking at team defense.
Well, Hendo, we will get the first look at what the new era of Drake basketball looks like at the Field of 68 opening day marathon. You guys are going to be taking on Northern Arizona in Sioux Falls at the Pentagon. Can't wait to see you up there. I'm shocked based on the questions that you get asked every single time that you see us, that you decided to come up there. So I appreciate you having a good sense of humor, and we look forward to seeing you up there in Sioux Falls. It's going to be a lot of fun. We'll be back with more from Missouri Valley Media Day here on the Field of 68 coming up next.
The college basketball season will begin right here on the Field of 68. At 8 a.m. on November 3rd, we will be tipping off the inaugural Field of 68 opening day marathon. 15 hours of nonstop basketball. It will begin in Rock Hill, presented by our friends at Visit York County. Plan your itinerary today at visityorkcounty.com. Winthrop will face off with Queens in the opener, followed by Bradley taking on St. Bonaventure. Then we head out to Sioux Falls, South Dakota, where it'll be presented by Sanford Sports, who is changing the way people play and making sports accessible and fun for all. Murray State gets Omaha at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, with Drake taking on Northern Arizona in the second game in Sioux Falls. Then it's back to Rock Hill for a showdown between Furman and High Point, with Merrimack taking on South Dakota State in Sioux Falls in the nightcap. Tickets for all 6 games are on sale now at the links in the description below. Field of 68 opening day.
Well, welcome back. Missouri Valley Media Day here on the Field of 68. We're now joined by Evansville head coach David Ragland. And coach, coming off of a season where you won 8 games in the Valley, you guys go 8-12, and that is the best season that Evansville has had in the Missouri Valley since 2016. And you got some pieces coming back. I mean, you got three key returners, 3 rotation guys coming back. What does it mean to be able to kind of build on what you did last year and kind of keep some of that continuity alive?
Yeah, no, it means a lot, and the guys that we returned are ones that are hard to retain and really hard to get out the portal. Returning our defensive player of the year and Connor Turnbull was really important to myself and the staff and our fan base, to get a 6'11" guy that can alter and block shots and, catch lobs. And he's a really good passer as well, which is good for our offense. It's hard to get, really hard to keep. And we were able to do that. So that was important to us. And then Joshua Hughes, who Connor Turnbull led the conference in blocks, and Josh Hughes was either number 3 or 4 in blocks, but really helped our team. Like, we were second in defensive efficiency. And a lot had to do with those 2 guys because, just protecting the paint and the rim protection and, just defending the rebounding. And they're very versatile defensively. And Joshua Hughes, we can put him on almost anybody, and he's able to slide his feet and can contain and contest and, limit guys with the one shot. So getting those guys back is important. Since we've been here, we took over a program that was in need of some help. And we've been able to go and, year 2, have more wins than we've had total in about a decade. And then last year, have more wins in conference play than we have in nearly a decade. So the progression, you can see it. Retaining some of the guys that we did was really, really important. And then we've added some pieces that I think really complement our guys. And will allow us to hopefully make another jump this year.
Yeah, your defense was there. We know that. 3-point shooting, not quite there last year. That's something that I know you want to have step up a little bit. But I want to talk about your point guard. You bring in a kid, I think, Leif Moeller. Is that how you pronounce his name correctly?
It's Leif. It's Leif. Yeah, Leif Moeller.
All right.
It took me a while too.
Dudes, it's hard. There's so many of them now.
No doubt.
I got trouble, pronouncing all these dudes. But he is a 6'7" lead guard from Germany.
Yeah. Absolutely. No, he's every bit of 6'7". Because of the joke now that all the kids do 6'7". He doesn't like saying 6'7", so he says 6'6".
What is this joke, Dave? Can you explain it? I'm too old. You're 44. Can you explain to me the 6'7" joke and what the heck it means?
I'm struggling with it too. If it wasn't for two teenage kids, I wouldn't even know, what they're talking about. So no, but he is a very mature, very smart lead guard. He has a ton of experience. He's played against pros. He's played with pros. He has really, really good habits. He comes in every single day, just works on his game. But he just has all the intangibles that you want. A guy that eats, sleeps, and breathes basketball and finding ways to make his teammates better. But he is every bit of 6'7", and he's going to do a lot to help us this year, and we're really looking forward to having him.
I think the really interesting thing about the team that you put together is you only have no one between or under 6'3", right? And everyone is kind of between 6'5", maybe 6'10". And you're going to have the opportunity to play lineups where I'm sure there's going to be times where everybody is 6'7" to 6'10" on your roster when you're running it out there. One, was that something that was intentional? Did you go out there saying we're looking for more positional size? And two, what does that kind of allow you to do on both ends of the floor in terms of how you can play?
Yeah, absolutely. Great question. I mean, that's what we've locked in on since we've been here as a staff is positional size. We want to make sure that we do have really good size at each position, 1 through 5. And the way the game has moved to basketball is positionless. That's how we coach it. That's how we want to play. We really lock in on versatility. And a lot of times whenever you talk versatility, coaches, fans, players, whatever, lock in on the offensive versatility. And for us, we discuss and talk about the defensive versatility, be able to switch and cover and move and not having a weak link in your defensive structure. So for us, we feel like if we have good positional size, guys that can defend multiple positions and also play multiple positions on the offensive end, it just helps you. And, that has been our focus since we've been here, just having time and having moments to really see how the game has evolved, just period in collegiate sports and collegiate basketball. But also within our league, we were able to kind of, evaluate what really fits us and who we can go and get. And, that being a key focus of just, size at position and then depth at position, because that's really hurt us the last couple of years is not having enough depth. So, kind of what you said earlier, Jeff, man, what you have to evaluate, what your strengths have been, which size has been our strength, but then what has been your areas that you need to improve upon. And shooting is one of them. Depth is another one. And we feel like we've done a good job of addressing those in the off season.
All right. Well, shooting, Alex Hemingway should help, right? I mean, this is a kid who's been, he's been at the high major level. Clemson, Vandy has kind of been hurt throughout his career, never really able to kind of, get his feet underneath him here. First of all, his health, and then how much you think he could impact and help your perimeter shooting.
Absolutely. No, he's definitely been through it. It's been some trying times for him to have the injuries that he's had, some fluke injuries on top of that. I mean, busted eardrum was what kept him out last year, and he had a, ruptured eardrum, has surgery. It was some issues with that, and then it just kept him sidelined. How many times do you hear that story? It's very unique. But he's gotten here. He's healthy. He's working. He's consistent. He's a lot like Leif and some of our other older guys that have been through the wars and been through, seasons of just playing basketball, where they know the importance of longevity in the season is make sure you do your pre-practice stuff and post-practice stuff properly. And Alex has done that. I mean, he's a career 40-plus three-point shooter. So even though he's had the last couple of years where he hasn't been on the court as much as he would like to, still the consistency in his performance when he's out there, the numbers don't lie. So he's been able to be out there and be a part of our work throughout the summer and the fall to this point. We know as a group what he's been through, his history, and how important it is to have a structure put together that can help him, like keep him healthy, keep him on the court. So we're really going to stay locked in and focus on that. But, man, the guy can really shoot it. He can really play. And the other part, that we looked at factor-wise is he's played at higher levels, and played in two really good athletic leagues, and he's learned how to get his shot off against extreme athletes. So for him to be able to, sort of speak, drop to a level like ours, we have good athletes and we have really, really good coaches. But it's not quite the same that he's seen, and that's going to be an advantage for him. And even I've watched how he finishes around the rim, and that too has been an adjustment of his game because he's played against high-level athletes. So he'll really help in our improvement of our shooting, along with a couple other guys.
Well, let's talk about some of those other guys, because the one that I kind of circled was AJ Casey coming in, right? He is a player that was a very highly regarded recruit coming out of high school, a couple of years at Miami that maybe didn't go as well as he thought. He transferred to St. Louis, and I believe it was a shoulder injury that he was dealing with at St. Louis that kind of hampered him last season. All the talent in the world. He's the kind of guy he's different than what you get in the Valley in terms of the physical tools that he has.
Yeah. No, he's definitely gifted. You don't end up top 50 in the country just by chance. He's got a lot of tools, a lot of athleticism. He has some guard skills. He can shoot it. Can play multiple positions on both sides of the ball. Going to Miami, he's got experience that most guys in college basketball don't have, period. But especially on our team, like he played in the Final Four, like actually played some minutes. And then some things happened where, it just didn't work there. Then he ended up at St. Louis, where we actually recruited him prior to him making the decision, knowing some of the same people, but unfortunately wasn't able to get him here last year. And then he had some injuries, mainly his back, but he had some injuries last year that kept him sidelined. And he's someone similar to Alex. We've been able to get him here. We have a great medical team that's been around our program for a very long time, so long that they worked on myself and Coach Snow. And, they have some years on them and some experience. But, they put a plan together for our young men, like Alex, like AJ, to not only get them on the court, but also keep them on the court. And that's going to be our focus throughout the season is, just maintaining their durability, throughout the season. But his tools, man, he's a great person. First off, he's a great teammate, really knows how to play. And I mean, he shoots the three ball. He's athletic around the rim. And he's very physical. So he'll be able to help with our front court depth there was times when, Josh Hughes and Connor were doing it, and it's like, okay, where do we go next? And we'll be able to answer that this year with the likes of AJ, and then one person that I think will help us just from a defensive perspective and experience and consistency is Keyshawn Porter. We had transferred from North Carolina Central. He's a grad kid. Man, we have the reigning defensive player of the year, but he tells Connor about every other day that he's coming for his title. And I love that about him, man. He's gritty. He's competitive. He's been through the wars. Defense is a priority for him. And then, one thing I love about our group in general is winning's a priority for him, because you have guys that have been through some of the things that they've been through. Alex and AJ in particular, who injuries have kept them sidelined, they understand what's more important than anything, getting on the court and winning. So I'm really excited about the group. Again, AJ is going to be really good for us. Keyshawn is going to be really good with his experience. And then you look at, Jeff, kind of back to what you were saying, another perimeter guy that has shown throughout his career he can really shoot the three ball. So even though defense is like his number one attribute that he does really, really well, he can also get downhill, and then he can also knock down perimeter jumpers, which helps, spread the floor, creates more opportunities for him and his teammates.
All right, last question for you, Rags. I'm going off topic here a little bit. Is Dave Ragland a better basketball coach or a better drummer?
It depends on who you ask. If you ask my church family, they would say drummer. It's funny. I taught myself when I was young how to play the drums. And God bless my parents, because I don't know how they put up with that. I broke so many lampshades and, so many things around the house just drumming. And they finally broke down, got me a drum set. Then, when I got decent enough, they put me in, in church. They're like, just play the drums, man. Like, please don't sing. You guys hear my voice. You definitely don't want to hear me singing. So they were like, look, man, play the drums. And that's kind of been my deal. But I haven't played in quite some time, and I may or may not have been talked into doing that here recently for one of our events.
Well, there you go. There you have it. Coach, we appreciate you being here, man. It's great to catch up. Best of luck this season. I'm excited to see what you guys are going to be able to do. It's fun to see you building this program and growing it and getting them better. So, hopefully we'll have you on the field of 68 again, man. Get a big win. Go beat Purdue on opening night. We'll have you back on the field of 68. I can promise you that much.
Absolutely.
We'll be back with
Thanks
more
for having
from
me. I
Missouri.
know what you guys do, man. So I appreciate you guys having me on the show today.
Appreciate you, man. We'll be back with more from Missouri Valley Media Day coming up next.
Athlete AI is the story of the athlete. And every athlete deserves to have the story told. Under the lights and in the spotlight. This is your moment, your room. Download, capture, create, share. Athlete AI. Your name is Trent.
All right, now joined by UIC head coach Robert Ehsan. And Rob, good to see you, my man. Coming off your first season at UIC, 17-14, 10-10. It would have been much better to see you in person, though, in Charleston this past summer, where I heard you were to do a little marriage officiating ceremony for former UAB GA Alex Church. But you were in Charleston. I live here, and you did not call me. What happened?
Big mistake. You know what? What was funny? It was also during the transfer portal craziness. And in my hotel, Jeff, so I'm walking out of my hotel, I see Brad Burnell. I'm like, what do you? So he was there at a wedding, and they had just finished the portal. I'm like, how's your life going? He's like, oh, we just finished our last one. I'm like, finally on vacation. I was officiating a wedding and trying to finish our roster. And I did not reach out to you to come say hi. Amazing place. I'd never really been to the college campus. I played in that tournament, but I've never really seen it. It's obviously a really, really special place. So cool.
All right. So the next question, the easy question, Rob, is when did you first get into doing these officiating marriages? How did you, and are you any good at it?
Well, I don't know if you remember this, Jeff. The best one I did, let me guess. The best one I did was I officiated Keith Stevens' wedding. So you probably, so I don't think you remember this. You tweeted this was 7-8 years ago. You, maybe more than that. You tweeted something that I was officiating Keith Stevens' wedding, but I had still never had a team takeover player. It was something. You don't remember that? Yeah.
No, that's pretty good.
Yeah. So I started this. So I've done about 8 or 9 of them. I started this, 10, 12 years ago. I started doing a friend. I did a friend that went to college with me. And then it kind of picked up. And so I've done, half of these have been former players. I've done a handful of former staff. I think I've done 8 or 9. So yeah, it's kind of my go-to. I don't charge for it, but it's kind of something that it's kind of been my thing. And it's obviously, it's been a pretty cool experience, as you can imagine.
It sounds like you're leaving money on the table here, Rob. This seems like a good way to make a little money for the collective. You guys want to have your the UIC head coach officiate your wedding. Just donate X amount of dollars to the NIL. You can help us get some.
This is actually a great idea. Think about it. It's something most people have to pay for anyways. Oh, I got to get this out there. UIC fans. Oh, it's a great idea.
I would pay Jeff to not officiate my wedding.
Jeff, you've never been asked to officiate a wedding, Jeff?
No, heck no. Who would possibly ask me to officiate their wedding? They'd have to be out of their minds.
With your, you'd be so good at it.
I'd be entertaining, that's for sure. I'd be entertaining. I'm not sure they'd love it, but all right. Let's get down to your team a little bit. Let's get things back on the basketball end here, because I think they'd rather hear about that than you officiating weddings, but maybe not.
I don't know.
All right, so you have. One guy last year, you guys, again, like I said, you won 17 games your first year in league, went 500 in conference play, and certainly you know how it is. It's a one-year deal. Every year, you don't know what you're going to have back the following year. This year, you have one guy back that played last year, Henderson, the second. Small, diminutive player, but, man, he's quick and he can play. How big is he going to be with not only his play on the court, but trying to get everybody else up to speed that doesn't know you or the program?
Yeah. Ahmad has had an amazing summer, and I think he benefited. You don't realize it. He benefited greatly from familiarity, knowing how we do things. He had a lights out summer. And I think we're going to rely on him in a lot of different ways. We're expecting another jump as he had freshman to sophomore year, now sophomore to junior. We also have a guy who redshirted. Jason Nathaniel was a freshman. He could have played for us last year. We were deep at his position. He'll have a big impact, knows how we do things. But yeah, those two guys are great culture guys for us too. They believe in what we've done here. And both of them, I think, are going to have an impact for us.
I wanted to ask you about Elijah Crawford. Here's a kid, goes to BYU, doesn't really play all that much, but he's a former top 100 prospect. It feels like he's the perfect kind of guy to kind of come back down. He was in the Big 12. Now you get a chance in the Valley where maybe he isn't quite as competitive, and it feels like he's the kind of guy that can step in and have an impact right away.
Yeah, I think so first of all, there's a relationship there because we recruited him when I was at Stanford. So there was a familiarity there. We saw him in high school. We knew of him. We had a relationship before. I think he obviously was on a really, really good team last year, BYU, got experience there. I think he's in a position. He has a great opportunity in front of him to be one of the better guards in our league. I think him and Ahmad really complement each other. He's an elite passer. He's strong. He's physical. He's tough. Very competitive. I think, he checks all the boxes that he has the opportunity to have a really, really good year for us.
you brought in a key transfer in the kid Lowry from Towson. Was a piece for them, comes to you. I don't know how much you knew about him before you got him this past off season, but what's his role? How do you foresee his role this season for you guys?
So Makai is kind of like a Draymond Greenish in a lot of ways, like the way we're going to play him. And his stats don't jump off the page. He doesn't shoot the ball particularly great, but man, he is a winning basketball player. Elite defender, great feel, great size, unselfish, good instincts. I think, like, obviously he was on Towson team, who was really good the last couple of years, came off the bench, started some. Like, he's from our area. We have this year round, we have 5 Chicagoland kids, area kids. Last year, I was begging kids from Chicago to come back home when I first, and nobody wanted to. Obviously, Ahmad did, but nobody wanted to. This year, we had, as you mentioned, we had the success in year one. We kind of, I think, made UIC basketball relevant. And what it's led to is Makai Lowry, Sam Silverstein, Josiah Hammonds. I mean, all these guys now, like, wanting to come back to represent Chicago, like to help us elevate where we're going. And I think all of them are going to be key factors.
So, Rob, we talked about this a little bit last year on Valley Media Day, where your first run as a head coach was a very different era of college basketball than it is for you right now. And I think last year, you start out, I think you were 13-6 at one point. You were right there, I think, tied for first place in the Valley. And then, the season did not end great. So I'm just curious, like, what did you learn from that start and kind of building a new roster? And then what did you learn when things didn't quite go well for you once you got to February?
I remember you guys asking, like, how good do you think you can be? And I remember telling you guys that I've done this at a similar level. So I know what, like, the talent at this league is like, level is like. And I think I was telling everyone, like, our team has a chance to be good last year. I feel the same way this year. Our team has a chance to be very good. Just because I've seen it, as a head coach, almost identical to the same level as when I was in Conference USA. We had an amazing, like you said it, through 20 games. I mean, we were in an amazing, like, we were on a heater for a long time. We'd won like 5 straight road games. We beat Drake, and we're thinking like we could have a chance to win it. What's interesting, I think we fell victim to a couple of things. Our big guy got hurt, really changed the trajectory of our way we were playing. He was sick for 2 or 3 weeks, and we lost a couple games, and we really didn't shoot the ball well. We also had, at that time, if I'm being 100% honest, we had some guys who are playing so well that there's no doubt in my mind they were hearing the noise and the voices around them about what kind of money they can make or where they could go next year. Individuals were playing that good, in my opinion. And I think it led to us having a handful of guys mentally struggle down the stretch, especially just like shooting the ball. And no matter what we want to say, scoring the ball in the portal and NIL, man, all that stuff is like real. And we just had some of our better players really not shoot the ball well. And trying to manage that as a head coach, it's not just me, it's everybody, to keep your team intact, is very challenging. I think, honestly, like, we ran into it a little bit at the end of last year.
I love how honest you are about everything. So I'm going to ask you this next question, which is, you've been doing this a long time. For people that don't know, you started Maryland under Gary Williams. How different is it in terms of recruiting? In the old days, it was always relationships with whether it's high school coaches, then it was AAU coaches. Now, how much does relationships with agents factor into this whole thing, Rob?
I wish it was more, because I wish a relationship with agents impacted it more, but because that's my strong suit. As you said, Jeff, like, we could list some of the biggest agents. They were all like growing up, or they were all like around my age or a little older, coming up at the same time. Right. So I've had like ridiculously good relationships with agents, and, to the point where I feel like as good as maybe anyone in my position, okay, at this level. But I can't tell you how many times I've been told in the last 2 years, Rob, I'd love for this guy to go play for you, man. It's just like, we can't come to your situation for half the money. And for some of these kids, it's like life-changing money. So I think it was starting, Jeff, to be like, okay, relationships. And I feel like we got a couple kids maybe when I first got the job on some relationships. But now I think it's almost, I mean, it's becoming just the money is so much at the highest levels. I mean, it doesn't matter. I mean, and it doesn't matter. You can't do it. And I don't fault the guys anymore. I mean, I don't get mad. I don't get upset because like if it was my son or you know, Joe, or like your daughter or like you would do the same thing. So I think it's just kind of, it's changed.
We talked about your guards. We talked about Ahmad and Elijah and Makai. We haven't talked about the front court all that much. You got Abdul Moma coming in from Central Connecticut, one of my favorite guys. He was NEC Defensive Player of the Year. You got Ante coming in from Little Rock. You mentioned Jace Nathaniel earlier. Like, how does your front court kind of feel like it's shaking out, and who are you feeling the best about right now out of that group?
We're kind of going to go by committee, and 3 very unselfish guys. So even those, you know, Abdul Senior. Ante's been playing college basketball for a while. Jace is a redshirt freshman. Like none of the guys have like big, like, you know, I need to start or I'm going to be unhappy. You have 3 very unselfish guys. We're going to try to play 2 bigs together at some times. We're going to be more bigger, physical this year in the way we play. So I'm kind of excited about just like kind of mixing it up, man. And it's they're all 3 are competitive. Abdul's a great defensive player. Ante is can score buckets. Jace is just like a, you know, motor, endless motor. So they all 3 do 3 different things. We're going to try to play some of them together. We'll play some small ball. They're very unselfish. As I said, that's probably the best thing about them. And they can all do like different things. So kind of putting the pieces together and how we utilize them, I think will be important.
All right, we're going to end. We started with something kind of off topic, a little bit from basketball. We'll end with something a little bit off topic. Give me your daily commute on the Metro.
Oh, so Jeff and Rob, I want to get your guys' opinion on this because I was thinking like I want to pay someone to come like do a video of like my daily morning because I think it would go viral. Seriously. So I wake up, you know, I have my morning routine. I drive 7 minutes to the train station at Wilmette. Okay. And the train station goes, you know, like depending on like every 20 minutes, there's a schedule, but you got to get it by like 9:15. So if you don't get it by 9:15, you're waiting until 10:15. So I ride it from Wilmette, the North Shore, 7 or 8 stops down to Ogilvie. It's 30 to 40 minutes. Okay. Then when I get to Ogilvie, now you're about 1.6 miles away from my office. So this time of year in Chicago, amazing weather. No joke. I have the Divvy app. I go Divvy scooter, and then I scooter all the way in here. So like guys, I swear that's literally, that's not exaggeration. That's like literally every day. There's no coach in the country that goes car, train, Divvy biker, Divvy scooter to get to work. Am I right? It can't be possible.
No chance.
So after practice,
video? Can we need video of the scooter?
That's what I'm saying. That's why I want to have someone come because after practice is over, I check my phone. You got to be careful because if you miss the train, you know what I mean? Like you're waiting. So I have to know, like it's tricky, man. I got to know where I'm at, where I can get a Divvy scooter, hop on it, get it. I'm running out. I got to make the 4:40 train or the 5:40 train back to the North Shore. I found a good routine, but it's definitely different. Keep in mind, I tell everybody this, before I got to UIC, when I was at Stanford, I lived on campus. I'd walk out my door. I'd get in my golf cart. I would drive my golf cart. Literally, this is not an exaggeration, under 3 minutes to my office at Maples, park it, go into the office. That was my commute to what you guys just heard.
You missed that, man. You missed that. That's what you miss most.
I'm living the dream.
Rob, my commute now is I wake up and I walk down the stairs and I walk into my office. It's brutal, man. It's been killing me with this whole working from home thing. Listen, we appreciate you jumping on, man. It's always good to catch up with you. Best of luck this season. We will be back with more from Missouri Valley Media Day coming up next.
Do you need your fix of college basketball analysis at the end of every night during the season? If you crave instant reactions and informed breakdowns, make sure you tune into the Field of 68 After Dark every night with access to the biggest stars in the sport and a cast of characters that includes the likes of Tyler Hansborough, Randolph Childress, John Fanta, John Henson, Terrence Oglesby, Jarrell McNeil, and many, many more. The Field of 68 After Dark is where college basketball happens.
Welcome back to Missouri Valley Media Day here on the Field of 68 Media Network. My name is Rob Dauster. I have Jeff Goodman here. We are now joined by Illinois State head coach Ryan Pedon. Ryan, I got a question for you before we even start anything here.
Yep.
Do you have your cough drops? Are you prepared just in case your voice might actually get a little bit scratchy here?
Yeah, you guys like to always make fun of me, but they don't go far from me.
We do. We know you can take it. We know you can take being made fun of. So that's
every time I walk into CBS, and I see that bag of cough drops, I'm like, oh yeah, I got to send a picture to
What
Ryan.
you think of me? Yeah,
like, dude,
awesome.
You're a head coach. You're a head coach now. You're making real money. Like, you can't upgrade to the real brand, the Ludens. Like,
no, that's a little. It's like I said last year. That's a little too bougie for me. So I stick with what works, and CVS brand it's the cheapest, but also my taste buds like the CVS brand for sure.
Hey, I got one more before we get into some real basketball stuff here. Let's do the housekeeping with the non-basketball stuff where we can make fun of you first.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
The first thing, I actually don't want to make fun of you, but I have been told that every contact in your phone has a photo. Is this true?
Nah. Who's giving you this information here, man? I'm a little bit of an organizational freak, and I some of that I battled with myself. Like when I add a contact nowadays, I got to put a nice picture in there, and I like when the picture pops up on the screen.
Can we see the picture right now of Rob Dauster? Is there a picture of Rob Dauster in there?
I'm not sure if there is. I cannot remember. I'm not sure. Dauster, damn. Now I feel really bad.
Not important enough.
I'm not even
Everybody but Dauster has a picture in their phone. In his phone.
No.
I'm not even saved in his phone. That's what it is. It's the number just pops up, and he's got to scroll back in the text chat to see who it is. Is that what it is?
No, you've been in there since like 2007, Dauster, and so a lot of times just the newer ones. It's more of a recency bias here. The newer ones get the photos, and that's a good point though. I got to get you guys in there. Then it's like you're part of the family.
My photo is just a cough drop. That's all it is.
That'll be good. That'll be good.
All right, let's talk about your team, because I think you guys have a chance to have a really, really good season. It's going to be a really, really fun year for Redbirds fans, because you have, about as much returning as you possibly could ask for when it comes to, roster continuity and bringing back pieces. Johnny Kinzinger is back. Landon Wolf is back. Jack Doherty is back. Chase Walker is back. And the guy that I'm most excited to see, Bowden Skungberg, is healthy.
Yeah.
What can you tell us before we get into those other guys? What have you seen from Bowden, and what can fans expect to see out of him this year? Because he was the guy when he committed last summer. He was the one we were like, "Ooh, that's going to be."
Yeah. Well, when we took Bowden, that was a big one for us, and it was a big slot. Our roster needed scoring. Bowden's a 1,000-point scorer. We love his grittiness, his competitiveness. I think he has a real competitive edge that he plays with. So we identify with all the intangible qualities that he brings to the table. I think people have a tendency to forget about guys when they get hurt because there's so much chatter around the portal, who you have coming back or not. And, both he and Brandon Lieb, both were injured last year, took medical red shirts, and both, you can't assume they're just going to stay. Things have sort of changed here, evolved within the walls of our program. And in a weird way, maybe a blessing for some guys, some younger guys, to be able to get earlier playing time. And now we got to put it together. It's like anything, guys, like across the country, you're seeing it. You wipe the slate clean, and it's what you make of it come, October. And we got a lot of work ahead of us here, just like anybody else. And I realize we're a trendy team right now because we have guys returning, but the reality is, there's a lot of good teams in our league. There's a lot of good coaches, and outside of a couple, nobody really knows what each roster is going to look like.
Pete, we know everybody loves you, but still, were you a little bit surprised that both Chase and Johnny, Chase being the only first-team All-League guy back, Johnny being a second-team All-League guy, were you a little bit surprised? Because, again, you're looking around the country and everybody's leaving for more money, even if it's, because more money's relative, right? I mean, some guys are making $2-3 billion, but even at your level, if a kid can make $100,000 more, that's still significant money. Were you surprised at all, or not really?
Well, I think every case is different, and I think you have to look at each individual kid and each individual case and kind of take it for what it's worth, judge it, look at it, examine it. And, the meetings that we have with our players at postseason are really important, I think. I felt really good about, the connectedness we had with those guys. But you never know. You never know because some guys are motivated by different things. Some guys are motivated solely by money. Some of them have a chip on their shoulder and they want to prove people wrong, prove people wrong. And at the end of the day, I try to focus on their belief and, what they do have, the certainty of this situation, and keep eyes on each individual case with, them becoming the best person and player that they can be. And I think for all those guys, they're in a very healthy environment here. And I'm sure there's a lot of healthy environments across the country where guys didn't stay. So feel really fortunate. At the end of the day, we've got a handful of guys that could have made a lot more money probably somewhere else, but we were fortunate. We were lucky, and I give all credit to the young men. It's the young men and the staff that we have here, the ecosystem, so to speak, that they have on a day-to-day basis. I think kids know when they're in a good, healthy environment, when they're getting better, and I think there's some error here that we feel like we're doing something special, and we're on the verge of doing something special. So, like I said, got a lot of work ahead of us, fellas, but excited to have this core group back for sure.
So the one place where you did have to go out and find someone in the portals at the point guard spot, you lost Alton Bakes, and you bring in Landon Moore, transfer from Butler. What have you seen out of him? What's his impact kind of been? And I feel like if you only have to replace one, the toughest place to have that be is at the point guard spot because of the whole coach on the floor, like everyone knows what a point guard is supposed to be able to do out there. So how has his transition into your program gone so far?
Yeah, he's a great kid. We recruited him on the first time around after he had left St. Francis, Pennsylvania. He's a local product. We know his family well. His dad's the principal here at the local high school. Great kid, and he wanted to play Big East basketball, and he had an opportunity to do that at Butler. So we're very familiar with him coming into this off season, Rob. So sort of knew what we were potentially getting in him. What we've seen this summer is he's a big, strong, physical, experienced guard. And, he's versatile. I don't look at him only as a point guard. I told him when we recruited him, I'm not sitting here today recruiting you to play the point guard only. I love playing with combo guards. I think the best teams I've ever been a part of, whether that be at Ohio State, our best teams here, the best teams at Butler, and so on. Those teams had multiple guys who you could consider point guard on the floor at the same time. And in this day and age, with the way the game has changed, I think we all know like point guards aren't just setup men anymore. They got to be able to score the ball as well. So he's a guy that we're going to rely on to be one of our very best defenders. I need Landon Moore to be able to get to the paint and create positive outcomes when he gets to the paint. He can get to the free throw line really well, but most underrated part of his game, in my opinion, is his ability to pass. And he has shown all signs of buying into the role and the person that we need him to be. I'm really excited about hopefully this being the best year of his collegiate life.
How important is Ty Pence this year? Because he obviously had a great postseason a year ago, got an opportunity, took advantage of it. What have you seen from him in terms of kind of picking up where he left off?
Yeah, sure. I think Ty has had an air about him all summer. I think he's a man. He's practiced and prepared like he's a man on a mission. And I think he's, putting himself in position and has put himself in position to have a great fall. And then if he has a great fall, hopefully putting himself in position to have a great winter. When I think about guys I've coached, fellas, over the years that have made jumps, tangible jumps, 95% of the time, you can see that coming in the summertime. You can see what's coming. You can see the look in their eyes. You can see the work ethic. You can see the commitment to their habits and their daily routine. And I'm so excited I'm happy for Ty with the growth he's made already, but I'm excited for what's to come. And I think he's as good of a teammate as I have ever been around in my coaching career. I would say that about him, and I'd say that about a couple of our guys. Landon Wolf's another one that I think these guys are just cream of the crop in terms of people, players, and teammates. So I'm really excited for Ty Pence. I think he's a huge X factor for our team.
It's been kind of a slow build for the program since you took it over, right? You went 6-14, you won 11 games overall. The first year that you were at Illinois State, 15-17 and 23-24, won 9 games in league play. Last year you won 22, and then you went 500 in Missouri Valley play. And you get all of these guys, some of them are players that you recruited as freshmen that are still here as upperclassmen now. And
sure,
it feels like this is what we expect when we cover college basketball. This is kind of like what the ideal is. And I'm wondering, like, how do you see this kind of coming together in the summer, right? Usually when you have like 9, 10, 11 transfers coming in, these guys are doing all of these team bonding things, and we're going to do escape rooms to try to know each other. And we're going to go on these trips, and we're going to go camping, and we're going to go bowling, and we're going to try to figure out who each other are. Your team already knows who each other is. They've been around each other for some of these guys for 8 years now.
Pedon would never get out of an escape room anyway, so he can't do that.
Yeah, that's true too. I've been to a couple, and those are some of my most frustrating nights of my life. Yeah, those will anger you. But yeah, Rob, to your point, I don't apologize for this. I do have an old school element to how I want to build this program. It's changed even since I took this job in 2022. The score has changed, the goalposts have moved, whatever analogy you want to give. Things have changed, but I will never give in to my convictions, anything other than my convictions. I'll never give in to becoming a pawn to just building a transactional culture. I'm going to fight hard to keep this a developmental program, understanding that we do want to use the portal and utilize the portal to fill specific needs. But every year is different. You might have 2 or 3 guys leave, and maybe they're major contributors one year, and then 2 or 3 guys leave the next, and they were, very, very much role players off the bench. So I think you learn to take each year as it comes. But the mold that I've wanted to build this program in is a little bit old school. It's rooted in my days at Butler. I've been very outspoken saying that experience for me at Butler changed my outlook on coaching in many different ways. And I learned so much there about not just the game, but what's important in this game. And being with Chris Holtman, I'm lucky, man. I've been able to work for some unbelievable bosses in my life. I lean on that a lot. I do. Charlie Coles is a guy I think of every day, and I miss him. Of course, I worked for Jimmy Christian, who I think is an unbelievable coach. Todd Kowalczyk at Toledo, CEO. He's a great program builder. John Gross, I worked for at the University of Illinois, and then of course Chris Holtman. I am thankful, and I try to blend all my experiences into building this program in the mold that I want to build it in, and in a way that fits my personality and my belief system.
Well, listen, Coach, it's great to catch up with you. You guys are ranked number 3 in our mid-major top 25 on the field of 68. So no pressure at all. You're just supposed to be right up there with among the best mid-majors in the country. I expect to see you in at least the Sweet 16. That's where I'm setting the bar. 30 wins in the Sweet 16 appearance this year for you. Does that sound good? You do.
I like it. Yeah, the standards are high, and we've been asked that a lot here, Dauster, in the off season. But that's what you do this for, right? That's why you come to programs that you believe in. I'm just happy I'm doing it with the guys that we've been through some wars with, and we've got a great freshman class that I think is going to really boost our older guys and boost the trajectory of our program. The future, I think, is bright, and I love the guys we're doing it with. So we're excited. Appreciate all that you guys do for college basketball.
I'm going to send you along, just so you got it. I'm going to send you along a nice picture of Dauster. It's not to be shown to anybody, but you can put it in your contact.
Hey, that's great. I welcome it. Look forward to seeing you guys, following you this season, and appreciate you having me on.
Thanks, Ryan.
Thanks for being here, Ryan. There is no sport in America that is more difficult to follow than college basketball. It can be overwhelming. That's where the Field of 68 Daily comes into play. The Daily is your go-to source for injury updates, recruiting news, and transfer portal additions that actually matter. For just $50 a year, get access to the same information that your favorite team's coaching staff is subscribed for. Quality content can be hard to find in the college basketball space. The Daily is here to help you with that. Welcome back to Missouri Valley Media Day here on the Field of 68. My name is Rob Dauster. I got Jeff Goodman here with me. We're now joined by Indiana State head coach Matthew Graves. Matt, what's going on, man? It's good to see you. It's year 2 for you here in Terre Haute. And I got to say, there's been a little bit less turnover this year than you had last season, what you had to deal with.
No, it's great to be here. Good to see you guys. Get a chance to talk to you guys. It means it's right around the corner. So, happy to be on here. And certainly, like you said, year 2 feels much better. You're not, putting as many name tags on people and trying to figure out who's who. And, same with the staff. We kind of getting into a better routine of, what's expected, how we're going to operate and do things. And, it's just been a much better summer and fall season so far.
So the good news last year, Matt, is you guys led the league in scoring for the second straight year. I'm sure you want to do that again, but on the flip side, Matt, defensively, do we want to talk about the Sycamores defense a year ago, or do we want to turn the page?
Well, I think the defense would be like if the three of us went and played a little 3-on-3, we'd try to score the ball, and our best chance is to outscore people. So, we would have to go that route, but no, certainly, it was an issue last year. We were limited. With some things we could do defensively based on personnel a little bit, and also time spent. We spent a lot more time in the summer and early fall on our offense and getting that established, how we want to play, having that identity. And certainly our defense did struggle, but we've addressed some of those issues through recruiting. And also through our summer workouts and fall workouts. I think we're going to be a much better defensive team, and obviously people are going to say, well, you can't be much worse, but certainly we did make strides in that area, and I'm excited to see what we can do as we move forward.
So you have 5 players back that were in your rotation last year, 2 of whom played more than 20 minutes a game. When you are trying to build on that first year, how important is it to have those guys and some of those pieces back that understand what you're looking for, that understand some of the terminology already, that are able to kind of help you in those summer workouts, get these guys ready to know like what you are expecting out of them?
No, it's the most important thing. If we want to be good consistently here at Indiana State, and everybody has their own formula, and some guys do it through retention, some guys do it through buying players. Let's call it what it is. Some guys do it through both. There's a lot of different ways to win basketball games in this era of college basketball. But for us here at Indiana State, we need to do a great job with retention and retaining players and developing our own. And I was excited. Not only did we return 5 guys, but both of our walk-ons came back, and again, they add significant value when you're talking about summer workouts. They understand what we're trying to do, what we're trying to accomplish, whether it's drills, offensive scheme, terminology, as you mentioned, Rob. Those things are all important to laying a foundation. And, we were talking as a staff the other day, we are so far ahead of where we were a year ago. It's really not even funny how much stuff we've got put in, the concepts we understand. The IQ of this group is really high, and they're a fun group to coach. And, I'm really looking forward to a big season from us.
Matt, you lost a first-team all-league guard in Teal, but you bring in 4 veteran guards to hopefully replace him. One is Sterling Young, who averaged 17 a game last year at Florida A&M. You got a couple other guys I'm not quite as familiar with. Let me try this name pronunciation. You tell me if I got it right or wrong. Jovan Bugenhout from Belgium.
It's close. It's Yo. You had everything else right. Yo.
Oh,
yeah.
So you just call him Yo. That's easy.
Yeah, it's great. I love it. Jeff, it's one thing, the international recruiting, obviously, you guys know, has changed a lot. And, we have 6 international guys on our team, 2 Canadians, a kid from Grenada, kid from Spain, kid from Belgium, and a kid from Norway. And the basketball IQ, the fun we have in practice with these guys, and the way they value winning. They really understand that, team and winning. And it's been so much fun to coach these guys and to see their personalities bleed out over into, our American players. So it's a great combination. And again, one that I'm excited to, see how we continue to grow. But, you mentioned, you're right. A big loss in Samaj. I had at this time, last year, I had no idea that he would, end up growing into a first-team all-league guard. To his credit, he really got better as the season. We asked him to do an awful lot. Probably, to be real candid, we asked him to do too much. And that's why when we went out and recruited, we wanted to bring in, some more ball handlers and some more guards, because we need a better balance in that area. And I'm really excited about, what Sterling can bring to the table, what Yo can bring to the table, and, Xavier as well, a D2 kid from Truman State. Those 3 guys with their ability to handle the basketball and make plays and touch paint just gives us a much different look offensively than we had a year ago. And, hopefully we won't turn the ball over as much, which will help our defense as well.
So you mentioned Xavier Hall there. You have Ian Scott coming in from the NAIA ranks. You have Zaire Green coming in from Georgia College, another D2 transfer. You guys have had success at Indiana State as a program, mining Division II and mining some of the lower levels for talent. What do you see from some of these guys that are coming in, and how difficult is that transition from them for playing high-level D2 basketball to Division I basketball?
I don't think it's a huge transition. I think where you find the nuances is, it's a 6-foot guard versus a 6'3" guard, or 6'7", 210-pound 4-man versus a 6'8", 230 4-man. So there's some unique challenges that we have to address. There's no doubt about that. We're maybe a little bit undersized in certain areas, but I think what you get from the D2 level and NAIA level is you get kids with a chip on your shoulder. You get guys that have been productive at that level. You get guys that understand winning, understand how to play basketball, and the adage, I guess, strength in numbers is really what this team is. We've got a lot of great balance. Us as a coaching staff, we're going to have some tough decisions to make. You can only play really 9 guys and kind of keep happy on a given night and in rotations. So I feel like right now we've got 12 or 13 guys that are capable of earning minutes this year. So I really like that depth. Obviously, we need some separation, for that to occur. But we're just getting started, and I think this team is going to be so much better as we move from month to month and get better both offensively and defensively, and really kind of find its own identity. But I do think we're a team that has a chance to lead the league in scoring again. Play as fast as anybody in our league, and that's exciting. Not only for our fans, but our players love to play that way, and I do think it helps us in recruiting.
So, Rob, when we do these things, what do? I look for some funny stories, a little bit of maybe dirt on some coaches. Well, I started with going to Matt's former boss, Brad Stevens.
You didn't get anything, did you, Jeff?
No, as Matt knows, that was like, why did I even bother going to Brad? I'll read you Brad's response. Okay, Brad's response was basically nothing but good things to say, great memories working together, rooting hard for him. I said, come on, Brad, you got to have something good on him. Nothing. I went to
is that not the perfect, though, text from Brad?
Yes.
Perfect.
No matter what you ask. Right. No matter what you ask. The vanilla positive answer.
Hey, consistency. You win a lot of things and have a lot of success in life just being consistent.
So true. So I dug to some other people that you've worked with. I'm not going to name their names. I'm not going to divulge their names. But, Rob, Matt is one of the most even-keeled, nicest human beings you're ever going to meet in this business. I've never seen him lose his cool. Ever, ever, ever. And most coaches who've worked for him say the same thing. They've never, ever seen this guy just lose it, except for once when I think he earned the nickname the alter ego Hank. Is this true, Matt? Is this why?
Well, the movie, Me, Myself, and Irene, Jim Carrey has an alter ego, and they call him Hank. So, my staff and I'm gonna find out which one of them knuckleheads at South Alabama that I worked with, gave this up, but they could tell when I was starting to get agitated, and sometimes they would come in there and say, "Hey, we need to see a little Hank today," or Hank, calm down. It's not that bad. We'll figure this out. So you got me on that one, Jeff. That's a pretty good one. That was a running joke for a couple years when we were down there at South Alabama, and
it started. I'm told it started when you got so pissed off at a player or something that you kicked the ball into the stands at Butler.
Yeah, but that wasn't that was part of it. But that happens sometimes, but that was in a quiet gym, and there's only a few people around, and you have those moments where you just need to let out a little stress, and sometimes you have to kick a basketball to prove a point. So that's kind of where it started, but it kept evolving.
I'm calling you Hank. All I know is I'm calling you Hank from now on.
Well, we were joking though, this year, the new rule, how you can use the challenge, I don't know, you call it challenge flag or a challenge. I don't know how we're really going to do it this year in men's basketball, but one of my former coaching friends said, you may need 2 or 3 of them because you don't get really upset, but I could see you, throwing a challenge flag out on the floor at an official or something like that. So we'll see how it goes this year.
I'm just picturing you walking into a game with a red bandana in your back pocket when you don't like your call, just throwing it right at the official.
I think it'd make a statement, I'm sure, but probably not the statement that, you would want to make. But it'll be interesting to see how that goes.
All right, let's finish it up with this. Yeah. Hey, look, I never give Goodman credit for anything. He does his homework on stuff like this, so
That's
he does
good.
his homework.
Yep.
Let's end it with this. If we look up in February and Indiana State is right there, first place, second place, competing for a Missouri Valley regular season championship, what's the one thing that has to happen to make that a possibility?
I think what'll happen is we've got 8 or 9 guys that have kind of separated themselves. And again, it's going to be strength in number, but we've got really 8 or 9 guys that have been consistent, throughout really January, February, that have put us in that position. We've obviously improved significantly defensively, but at the same time, I think we're still probably a team that's top 2 or 3 in the league in scoring and how fast we're playing, but we're taking care of the basketball. And our defensive numbers are way down. And I think, this team is very capable of doing those things. I know what the preseason stuff's probably going to say about us. And to be honest, I really don't care. It's about what we can do now, how we can continue to get better. And, that started way back in June when we first got together. So really excited about this group. They're a fun bunch to coach. And looking forward to, a great year 2 ahead.
Well, listen, we appreciate you jumping on with us. It's always great to be back here for Missouri Valley Media Day. It's always great to see you. Coming up next, we'll have more from the Field of 68's coverage of Missouri Valley Media Day. For Jeff Goodman, my name is Rob Dauster. That is Hank Matthew Graves, Indiana State.
Appreciate it, guys.
The college basketball season will begin right here on the Field of 68. At 8 a.m. on November 3rd, we will be tipping off the inaugural Field of 68 opening day marathon. 15 hours of nonstop basketball. It will begin in Rock Hill, presented by our friends at Visit York County. Plan your itinerary today at visityorkcounty.com. Winthrop will face off with Queens in the opener, followed by Bradley taking on St. Bonaventure. Then we head out to Sioux Falls, South Dakota, where it'll be presented by Sanford Sports, who is changing the way people play and making sports accessible and fun for all. Murray State gets Omaha at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, with Drake taking on Northern Arizona in the second game in Sioux Falls. Then it's back to Rock Hill for a showdown between Furman and High Point, with Merrimack taking on South Dakota State in Sioux Falls in the nightcap. Tickets for all 6 games are on sale now at the links in the description below. Field of 68 opening day.
We're back here on Missouri Valley Media Day here on the Field of 68 Media Network. Rob Dauster, Jeff Goodman are now joined by new Murray State head coach Ryan Miller. And Rhino, first of all, it's good to see you, man. Second of all, I know that you've had interest in the past in other jobs, right? And I'm just kind of curious, why is this the program that you ultimately decided to make be the spot where you were going to have your first head coaching opportunity?
Yeah, Rob and Jeff, I appreciate you having me on. But, as you go through this journey, 22 years being a Division I head assistant coach, working for some of the great coaches and great minds of our game, like Calipari and Dixon, all these great guys, and obviously McDermott, who I just worked for. The changing landscape of college athletics, you have to have a job that you have support, vertical support from the administration, from the president's office, from the board of trustees. And Murray State, with its rich history of basketball success, whether it's the coaches or the player success here and the winning tradition, was a deep lure to me. It's all basketball here, which I love. I'm a basketball guy, and they really support the basketball program at a high level, and it happens at the top. And if you have at the top really supporting you, have a chance to have success.
So the coolest thing is you start the season this year. You start your head coaching career with us in the Field of 68 opening day showcase. And not just that, you started an hour away from where you grew up, right? I mean, how cool is that? You're going to play, and you were so easy to deal with. And I don't say that about everybody. Scheduling is a disaster. And running these things, man, like, I don't want to do it again. I don't want, but you were so easy. You were like, we'll play anybody at the Pentagon in Sioux Falls. That's how much you kind of wanted to go home, open the season. And you are playing a really good Omaha team on November 3rd at the Pentagon, an hour away from Mitchell, South Dakota. How much does that get you going and want to start, your coaching career in your season?
Well, you guys putting on the event, the Field of 68 event in Sioux Falls, South Dakota at the Pentagon. I know number one, you guys would run a good event. But number two, gave me a chance when I got this head coaching job at Murray State. It gave me a chance to open up where I grew up at, basically. My parents still live in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. I have a bunch of family that live in South Dakota. And my family is a basketball family. They're basketball junkies. So it was a good opportunity for us to get back, have my first opportunity against a very good Omaha team that just won the Summit League last year. So it's going to be a tough challenge, but we're looking forward to the challenge, and we're looking forward to get up there with friends and family, and then obviously working with you guys and what you guys have done with your events.
So last year in our opening day showcase, Will Wade ate Chislic on the sideline. I was thinking we do something a little bit different. Maybe we have your parents cook your favorite home cooked meal, and we can bring you over your plate and you can have a bite of that on the sideline at the first TV timeout in the first game that you play. What do you think?
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. I mean, I'm open to anything. We got to make your event special. So, me being back at home, I'm sure there's creative things we can do, especially with so many friends and family that will be there.
I think, Rob, we can get a lot of good stories, is my guess, from Ryan's parents on Ryan growing up. Right now he sounds so mature, but we know there was another side to Ryan Miller when he was growing up. All right, let's get to your team. Let's get to your team a little bit this year, because you had to start from scratch, and you put together a team that I think is really interesting. And you have size, you have versatility, you have depth. But the size to me really stands out, Ryan. You could go, tell me if I'm wrong here, but I think you could go with a starting lineup at some point, or a lineup that's like 6'5", 6'7", 6'9". Like, you're going to be long, you're going to be versatile, you're going to be skilled, and you're going to be big.
Yeah, I mean, putting together the roster, I believe I got the job March 18th, and first and foremost, had to put together a staff that's, will challenge me, but they're like-minded. So we were able to get in the portal. Me coaching 22 years of Division I basketball, and most recently in the Big East and the Big 12. I had a lot of networking connections where guys are transferring, particularly the guys that knew our system. Guys like Fred King, who was backup to the Kareem Abdul-Jabbar winner, and Ryan Kelkbrenner last year. Didn't get much of an opportunity just because the guy in front of him was so good. Mason Miller had a great sophomore year for us, and when we went to the Sweet 16 at Creighton. And then Ben Stolzberg, who I coached at Creighton. He transferred to UCSB, but got in the portal. So the first and foremost is getting together a good staff, and then getting a culture established with guys that have already coached, or been in our family, and know how we do things. So we did that, but yeah, we got great size. We can go 6'9", 6'9", 6'7", 6'5" at the wings, and the center spot. So we got great size, great versatility, and we can go very deep too. We have 10 to 12 guys who can really play.
So you mentioned the name Mason Miller there. How difficult was it to recruit him? I've heard that you had a little bit of a rivalry with Mason's dad when you were growing up.
Yeah, his pops is the tough part. I mean, he's now an agent, so negotiating those NIL or rev share package, wherever the heck they are now, he was giving me a little bit of fits, but we found a way to get it done.
Yeah, for the people listening at home, Mason is Ryan's brother, is Mike Miller, and that's Mike's son. So go ahead, Jeff.
Yeah, I mean, Fred King, you mentioned him, and backing up Kalkbrenner for the last 3 years. How important was it to get a guy like that again, experience, proven at the Big East level? When Kalk was hurt, I mean, he would step in and he gave you big time minutes of production.
Yeah, he was. The challenge for him here is getting him in shape, just because he's going to be asked to do a lot more. Obviously, having a role behind Kalkbrenner for us at Creighton, his minutes were spotty, but when he got opportunity, and when he got minutes, he was a double-double machine. And he's 6'9", 270 pounds, and he's cut, and he's athletic, and he can run. If he had the opportunity at a high major team outside of Creighton the last few years, he would have been 20-plus minute guy and averaging near 10 points, 8 rebounds, something like that.
You got a point guard coming in named Lane Taylor. And I don't even know if point guard is the right way to phrase it, but he is a guy that averaged 17, 3, and 4 assists when he was at Central Arkansas. And I think the most interesting thing is he almost shot 10 3-pointers a game. I just envision him as the guy that was the offensive coordinator for Greg McDermott the last couple of seasons. You got your Stephen Ashworth right there. You got your point guard that you can run off of screens, that you can kind of let. Is he going to be one of these guys where it gets over half court and all of a sudden he's in range?
Yeah, watching him and calling him and contacting him once he got in the portal out of Central Arkansas, both of us thought there was a ton of similarities between Stephen Ashworth and his game, Lane's game. I mean, his ability to shoot deep threes. We're going to take advantage of analytics. We are going to be similar to Creighton, where we're going to let it fly a little bit. So we're going to take some deep threes. We're going to play in pick and roll a lot, and we're not only going to score and pick and roll, but we're going to be able to facilitate. And he can play make and make plays for others. So we're pretty excited about him. And I think the recruiting process, both he and I saw a lot of similarities of Stephen Ashworth's success at Creighton, and we think we can emulate it here.
All right, so I've dug and tried to get some good dirt on you. Your brother did not get back to me. He must be too busy negotiating deals. But what I have heard is these team events that you're doing. I know you just went down to Nashville, did escape rooms, did pickleball events at one point, bowling, all these team events. Supposedly your GM, Ernie Kuiper, is absolutely kicking your butt in all these events. Is this accurate?
Yeah. We do a bunch of team events, so everything we do competitively, right? But he and the staff make up the teams, so they kind of load the teams in their favor to make sure they get the win. But yeah, it's important for us.
That's a good GM. Hey, you know what that is? That's a hell of a GM right there.
He knows how to manage a roster, right?
Exactly. That's right.
So, but it's important for us that these team events are very, very important for us. I mean, obviously the changing climate of college basketball and, having 1-year teams or whatnot, or going in and being together for 6 months. We just really wanted to create a basketball team in this day and age. And we think we've established that through the spring, summer, and fall of really getting these guys to know each other on and off the court, get them in the foxholes together to compete together and really try to create a winning culture where people are fighting for each other. So that was really important for us, and Ernie and our staff took those initiatives on, and we had a great summer, really, and fall, really coming together as a team.
So you got 5 freshmen coming in this year, Ryan, but 3 of them are from overseas. You got 2 French wings and Lachlan Crate coming in from New Zealand. Talk to me about, is it Roman, Matisse, and Lachlan? Those are the 3 guys, the Euro players you got coming in.
Yes, sir. So we have Lachlan Crate. He was over at the U19s in Switzerland competing with New Zealand. Heck of a New Zealand basketball player. A versatile player, 6'8", 6'9", but he's really tough. Played rugby growing up, so you can imagine his toughness. But we're really excited about him and his future here. And then the 2 French kids, Matisse Corbon and Roman Damon, both very, very talented. Both were playing in club level. One was playing French club B or Pro B last year, and the other was playing Pro A last year. So pretty excited about their future. Both of them, all 3 of them are a little bit older, so they come in with a little more experience and some experience on the international scene. So, which is really important to us as we built this team.
How hard is it to get them to kind of adjust to the American style of basketball, and not just basketball, the American style of life? It's very different.
Yes, culturally different. Basketball is obviously different too. So getting here early. Lachlan had some commitments with his national team, so he came a little later. He's U19 in Switzerland playing for his national team, and Roman had some national team U20 stuff that he was doing in Greece. So both those guys came a little bit later, but it's really important both culturally as French kids moving here over the United States, playing basketball, different style of play, the athleticism ramped up, being able to play in the U.S. system is different. So getting them adjusted this summer and fall was very important.
When you go into the portal, Ryan, or recruiting a freshman, what's the biggest thing that you're selling as the head coach of Murray State?
A couple things, I guess, our experiences. Obviously, they've won here, and historically, they've won here, and they've had great coaches, and they have great players like John Morant, Isaiah Cannon, Campaign, all these guys that went on to professional success. I've coached a bunch of guys that went on and developed into NBA players, whether it's Des Bain or Ryan Kalkbrenner more recently. So we're really focusing on the history here, that you can do it here, our professional development that we've done in the past, and then our style of play. We're going to play 94 feet. We're going to play very fast. We're going to play Creighton-esque where we let it fly. And we're really going to value analytics. So we're going to try to create some turnovers defensively, play man-to-man defense, and then we're going to play at a fast-paced offense where kids like to play.
You got a bunch of guys on this roster that you've coached before, right? We kind of talked about that a little bit earlier with Fred and Mason and Ben, but when you have players that know you and know your personality and kind of know what is going to be asked from them, since the similarities to what Creighton does, is that when you're turning over 13 new guys, 14 new guys, how valuable is it having those relationships already and having guys that can kind of say, hey, look, this is what he likes, this is what he expects?
Yeah, that was very important. I think those three signees were our first three signees. So Ben, Mason, and Fred, who all played for me and us at Creighton. So creating that foundation, strong foundation, they understand the standard that we're trying to establish here. They understand the culture that we're trying to establish here, which is a championship-driven culture, and it's work every single day. And having the team to be peer-driven instead of coach-driven is so important. So them being able to articulate to the rest of the players what we're trying to establish here is very crucial in what we're trying to do, especially being the first year and trying to establish a culture that's long living.
All right, last one I got. What are you drinking over there? Coffee? What type of coffee you got?
Little Americano. It's one stevia. Almond milk.
Right.
Try to keep it right. Got to keep the engine going, you know?
Get healthy. No doubt. No doubt. Well, listen, great seeing you, man. Great seeing you as always, Ryan. Appreciate
I really appreciate you guys, and I appreciate the opportunity to bring the team to Sioux Falls, South Dakota in the Pentagon. It's going to be an awesome event, and I really appreciate you guys thinking of us and getting us in there.
Every year. Well, every year, man. Lock it in. You're coming back home every single year.
Hold on. No, don't guarantee it yet. We got to get a reservation at the best restaurants in Sioux Falls. If you could pull that off, then you got to invite every season.
We'll figure that out.
That's his parents' house. What do you mean? Wait. Dawson,
bring
you're
you
going
over
to his parents' house for
bring
dinner.
you over to Mom and Dad's.
That's right.
Oh, actually, I'll bring you over
All
my
right.
brother Jared. I'll bring you over my brother Jared. He's mean on the grill, so we'll figure something out there.
Oh, perfect. Listen, Ryan, it's great to see you, man. We'll see you up in Sioux Falls. More from Missouri Valley Media Day coming up next.
Thank you, guys.
Athlete AI is the story of the athlete. And every athlete deserves to have the story told. Under the lights and in the spotlight. This is your moment, your room. Download, capture, create, share. Athlete AI. Your name is trending.
The show rolls on here on Missouri Valley Media Day. We're now joined by UNI head coach Ben Jacobson. And coach, it's an era where we see programs lose players that transfer over and over again. We've talked to a couple coaches here that have lost 10, 11, 12 players to the portal. And you guys lost some pieces, but it was to graduation. You didn't lose players to the portal. You've been able to retain, I believe it's 8 rotation guys, 3/4 of whom were starters for you this past season. How beneficial is that as you get ready for a season where you kind of know what you have and those pieces, those players that you have, know what they can expect out of you as a coach?
Well, I think it's big. Even last year we didn't have the same number of returning either starters or guys that played a bunch, right? But the guys that did come back were Titan Anderson, Jacob Hudson, Trey Campbell, RJ Taylor, Kyle Polk, some guys that hadn't played as much. But Ty, Huddy, and Trey, you've got 3 guys that have been with Ty and Trey in our program for a long time. And now we go into this year with even more of them. You touched on it. We've got kind of 7, 8 guys that have played for us, that have been in the program. Trey's going to be a 4-year starter for us, and now the transfers from last year, Leon, Ben, Max, those guys now going into their second year, and those guys make the decision to come back and be together. So I think it's big. It just allows us to to start in a little different place, right? You always got to get to the same place at some point in the season, right? But when we've got 11 total guys back, 7 that played for us, you can just start in a little different place. And I also think that it helps. So we've got a couple transfers up front. It helps those guys to have players around them, terminology or a drill, things that we're doing early on. Like their learning curve is sped up a little bit because you've got 11 guys around them that have been here.
Ben, I don't know who the vocal leader was, if it was Ty or Hudson last year, but I assume, Trey is a guy who's grown up around there, been in the program for 3 years. Have you challenged him to be an even better leader if he was a leader last year? How important will he be this season to not only your success on the court, but also off it?
Yeah, we were actually at maybe 45 minutes ago. Guys, Trey was in here and we were watching a little bit of film, and I was talking to him about that very thing, Jeff. Just we hear his voice more now than we have. Right? By personality, by nature, Trey is laid back and easygoing. Right? Now he's a competitor. He makes the number of important shots, big shots he's made for us. Like he's a shot maker, and he makes them when it counts. And so he's wired in terms of the competition and coming up with important plays and what I've asked him to do, what I've challenged him to do is just a little bit more with his voice. Can you be a little bit more vocal? Okay? Wear it on your sleeve just a little bit more with your emotions. But while you're doing that, what I really want you to do is set the tone for us defensively. With your actions, let your teammates see, how important it is that we have a great defensive team. So set the tone defensively with your actions. Let's keep working to hear your voice a little bit more. Wear your emotions on your sleeve just a little bit more. But I've always been a guy like I want our young guys to be who they are. Right now, that doesn't void them of increasing responsibility as you get older. Right, when you've had experiences and for Trey, a lot of positive experiences. We need as you go through our program, and we want guys to, right? We want them to take on more responsibility. We want them to understand the value of leadership. And Trey did it with his decision in the spring to come back and play for us. Like that's leadership, right? And that matters to his teammates, right? Our guys on our team wanted to know, okay, well, is Trey coming back? Because if Trey's coming back, then I'm coming back. Like that's a real thing. So he's providing great leadership. And the challenge for him, like I said, let's set the tone defensively with your actions. Like get a little bit grittier, right? Get into the ball and set the tone for us. And then let's just keep working to get your voice out there a little more and wear your emotion on your sleeve a little bit more. But, I've never been a guy to force guys to do something in the way of leadership or really try to be somebody different than who they are. But man, as you get older, right, you want to be on a championship team. As you get older, you got to be willing to take on more responsibility, and Trey is doing that.
So I think your perimeter is kind of all known quantities, right? You got Trey back, you got Max back, you got Ben back, RJ and Leon. We'll talk about them in a second, but they're should be back from their injuries this season. The front court is where you're going to try to have to figure some new things out, obviously, with Titan and Jacob gone. So you got Tristan Smith coming in from NAIA. Will Hornsmith is back for his sophomore season. You got Ishmael Diouf from NC State, and I'm going to try to get this right. Marino Dubrovcic from Baylor. I was close. What is it?
Yeah, Dubrovcic.
All right, maybe I wasn't.
What do you call him, Ben? Ben, you do not use his full name. We know that. What do you? Go ahead.
I call him Marino, although most days it's big fella.
All right, there you go.
There we go. I do call him Marino, but most days it's big fella.
So how was that front court looking, and how is it kind of coming together?
Yeah, it's been good. Look, July was a really fun month for me as our head coach. A really good month for us. There's a lot of progress. June we were slow going would maybe be the best way I could put it. And a lot of that to do with Titan and Huddy not being here. And in particular, at the offensive end, the responsibility of our center and our power forward or our hybrid guys up front, the responsibility for our pace offensively is tied directly to those positions. And so the two fifth-year guys being gone with Ty and Huddy, just a little slow going in June. But, man, we had a good finish in July, and those guys made some really good progress. I tell you, super excited for Will Hornseth. His role last year, he's behind two fifth-year guys that are good players. And so, had not been for Huddy and for Ty, Will would have played more minutes last year. He was ready for that. But super excited for him. I think he's one of those guys in our league where, you see him as a freshman, as a fan, maybe as an opponent, and you think, oh, wow, yeah, he looks like he's going to be pretty good someday. And for me and for us, that day is right now. He's a really good player. So really excited for Will and where he's at. And he's going to start for us at that center position. And his skill level is really high. And so excited about that piece with him. And then Tristan is the most ready. Guys, of the three transfers that you mentioned, Tristan is the most ready. And I think what we found out, right, is we've gone through this, the level doesn't matter all that much. NAIA, Division II, Division I, like we saw it in our league last year with what Ben did with his team at Drake, bringing all those guys up from Division II and what they were able to accomplish. And we've seen it with other guys individually, right? So, and Tristan would be a great example of that. And I think a lot of that's because basically been a 4-year starter where he was at Concordia in Nebraska, and that a ton of responsibility and the main guy and the confidence that comes with it. So Tristan's really doing well, had a good summer and doing well right now. And Ismail's battled a little bit of some injuries, so hasn't been able to practice as much as he would like or we would like, but he's got a high skill level and he's big at 6'9" and can really, I think, be a very, very good player for us. We just got to get him all the way healthy, and that should happen here soon. And then he's the biggest guy on our roster, and he's worked hard he wasn't in very good shape when he got here, and he's worked really hard to get in better shape. And so we'll see what that means. And the other guy throwing the mix is Chase Corbett. He's a fifth-year guy for us and has not played for us, but the best shape he's ever been in. The game has slowed down for him. So we've got some guys up there. It's different than having two fifth-year seniors, as you said, right? I mean, it just is. But there's two things I would tell you. One, that group is going to be good enough, I feel like, after being around them for almost 3 months now, June, July, and September. They're going to be good enough. They're about the right things. And then two, we don't need the same kind of leadership out of that group as we got from Titan and Huddy. Ty and Huddy being fifth-year guys, right? Not only did they need to be two of our best players every night, they also needed to do all the other stuff. That shifts a little bit over to Trey and Ben and Leon and Max and RJ and even Kyle. Kyle's a tremendous communicator, right? So we've got, some of that leadership and some of the day-to-day. That doesn't need to be the responsibility of Will as a sophomore and the transfers as new guys. That can get shifted into the experience in the backcourt. And so I think that helped those guys up front.
So I know you're big on conditioning with this team, but I want to ask you, what about your conditioning? How did the half marathon go this past off season?
Yeah, I appreciate you asking, Jeff. It went great. I wanted to do 2 hours and 10 minutes. I did not want to 2 hours, 9 minutes and 59 seconds. Okay. I didn't want it to be 2 hours and 10 minutes. So that was my goal going in. I trained for about 4 months. Training went good. I did 2 hours, 7 minutes, and I think it was 51 seconds maybe. So it did. It went. It went good, man.
Was it the whole fam? Like, how many? Was it you and a bunch of family members? And where did you fit in? If it was you and a bunch of family.
It ended up just being me. A college teammate is the one. I would never. We did this like 11, 12 years ago. We did it back-to-back years only because the same college teammate, David Robertson is his name. He just out of nowhere, and he's more of a runner and had been, okay? But I would never have done a half marathon had it not been for David saying, hey, we're going to do this, right? And we're best friends, and that's what teammates do, right? He's like, I said, all right, fine. Well, we did it back-to-back years. he emailed me in January and said, "Hey, we got to do it again." And I'm like, "All right." So that's how it happened.
Okay.
So yeah, there wasn't anybody else out there.
All right. Well, the last thing I got for you is RJ Taylor and Leon Bond. I kind of mentioned them a little bit earlier. They're obviously coming off of injuries. What are their statuses, and are you expecting to have both of them at the start of the season?
Yes, both are a part of everything right now. So they're healthy. If we had a game tomorrow, both of them would be. They are ready to go. Right? Yeah, so they're in a good spot that way. I would tell you RJ's probably 100% healthy, right? But I would say maybe kind of 85% back to the speed, the quickness, last week we were watching a little bit of film, and he's kind of hopping all over the place defensively and kind of anxious to be back out there, and threw a pass right into three guys and just some things that had he not been out for 7 months, he wouldn't be doing. So I would say, another 2 weeks, he's going to be 90, kind of 90%, mid-October, mid to late October. I expect that he'll be 95 to 100% in terms of being all the way back. Again, feel, passing, his quickness, his speed, how hard he can play for longer. So that's still coming, but 100% healthy. And it's just great to have that, he's a playmaker. Right. And he's a connector. And so great to have him on the practice floor. And then Leon's doing great. He's healthy and doing really well. Like he's, from a year ago until right now, guys, he's in a totally different place. Just the way he is every day at practicing hard. And his confidence is different. He worked tremendous, put in a lot of time on his jump shot this summer. He's shooting the ball at a much higher clip than he was when he got here a year ago, because he put that time in. So he's injuries are, the timing is never good with injuries, but he was just starting to really take off. Okay. And Ben, was at that same point. Ben stayed healthy, and we kind of saw what he was like that last month. So, Leon's in a good spot. I'm excited for him.
Last one I have for you, Ben. I remember you signed a 10-year deal at UNI back. I don't know, it had to be 15 years ago. I know you got a new contract over the offseason, a 5-year rolling contract. When people think of UNI, they think of you. You're one of those guys. So many coaches have bounced over the years. What does it mean to you? What does UNI mean to you? Because again, you've just been there so long to help build this thing.
Yeah, and I think the first thing I would tell you is it's a place that we can win at a high level. Like, this is big time basketball, and it should be, right? I don't start there to have it be like, I have to try to defend the Missouri Valley, or put us into a different place. Like, we've done it over the course of time, right? Where we've won championships. We've been in the NCAA tournament. We've won games in the NCAA tournament. So I guess I start there like that for me, because that leads me to the next piece, and that's the players, right? We've been able to recruit and have, just some guys that are really, really competitive. Guys that understand, maybe they come in and start as a freshman and start all 4 years. Maybe they come in and it takes a year or two. Maybe they come in like Marvin Singleton. You got to put 3 years in, and man, but your fourth year, you're starting on a team that wins 31 games. Like, all of that when it comes to players that are willing to buy into what we're doing. So I think that's what comes to mind first, Jeff, is the being at a place that can win championships and win games in the NCAA tournament, and have some consistency to what we're doing. And then again, like I said, it just, that comes back to, who you're recruiting and the players you've got in your program. And then when you talk about the contract, having leadership, right? Leadership matters, right? It matters for all of us. It doesn't matter what we're doing. And I think it gets talked about a lot in college athletics, but having an athletic director, having a president, like having those two positions on campus, what that means to a basketball program, what that means to an athetic department, that there's no way to under or overstate whichever word is supposed to fit that sentence. There's no way to do that. Okay? And I love our leadership right now. Our new athletic director got here just over a year ago, and she is. I've said this to some groups when donors or golf outing, to some different groups. Man, she is determined. She is very aware of what's going on around us within our league, nationally, and she's going to do everything she can with the help of our president to position us to be right where we all want to be. So that's the piece of it that I really enjoy, knowing that we can compete for things at a high level with young guys that want to be at Northern Iowa.
Well, Ben, we appreciate you being here. You have a 5-year rolling contract. Jeff Goodman has a 5-day rolling contract with us. As long as he doesn't do something dumb, he has 5 days more of employment with us. Yeah. And every single day we re-up that. Appreciate you being here, man. Best of luck this season.
Thanks, man.
Thanks, guys. Yep.
Do you need your fix of college basketball analysis at the end of every night during the season? If you crave instant reactions and informed breakdowns, make sure you tune into the Field of 68 After Dark every night with access to the biggest stars in the sport and a cast of characters that includes the likes of Tyler Hansborough, Randolph Childress, John Fanta, John Henson, Terrence Oglesby, Jarrell McNeil, and many, many more. The Field of 68 After Dark is where college basketball happens.
Welcome back to Missouri Valley Media Day here on the Field of 68, and we're now joined by Scott Nagy, who was one of the guys that made his debut at Southern Illinois on the Field of 68 in the opening day showcase in Sioux Falls last season. Scott, it's great to see you, man. Great to have you back. Your off season was a little bit less turbulent than last year when we talked to you. So you have 5 returners coming back. You have a number of pieces that you're a little bit familiar with. What do you make of this roster, and how do you feel about your group of guys heading into this season?
A lot better. We have six returners, 8 new guys, but it just is, it's much more. One, I have my whole staff back, which I think is important, because last year when we started this process, I only had one guy that had been with me, and that was Tay Gibbs. And I had all new staff members, all new players. I had to spend a lot of time teaching, trying to develop the culture. This year, we have 6 returning players, the entire staff back. So we just have a lot more people that know what we should be doing and what's important to me and to everybody else. And not that we had bad kids last year, but we didn't have what we would call, a team full of Salukis. And we really feel like we've done a much better job this year of collecting talent, but collecting guys that we feel like are going to be Salukis.
Scott, I know you tried to get a little bit longer, more athletic. You're more versatile this year. I remember you telling me last year, telling us that you're worried about your defense. And I think you've spent a lot of time, which is what you normally do, right, on your defense in the offseason. What's this team going to look like on that end of the court, you think?
Well, one, I've been frustrated with myself that I look at the last 2 years of my teams have been very good defensively. And so I turned that over to Steve Hawkins, who's my associate head coach, and he's let that be his focus. It's always my focus, even though I think most people would consider me more of an offensive coach. I'm really not. My mind always goes to defense and rebounding. But I've asked Coach Hawkins just to really focus on it, and so we feel like we're stronger, we're more athletic, we're longer. We've spent a lot of time this summer just focused on our defense. Our offense is behind because of that, but I'm not concerned about that. I would much rather be better defensively, and I think we'll be fine offensively. But we're just deeper at every position. Last year, the one position we couldn't sustain an injury was at point guard, and that happened 5 games into the season with the loss of Elijah, and he tore his ACL, and we spent the rest of the year playing without a point guard, and it's hard to do in college basketball.
So the guy that I'm most interested to see this season for you guys is Isaiah Stafford. He's someone that's got a little bit of Valley experience. He had a really good season at Valpo in 23-24, but he, I believe he was injured last season, so he didn't play. What have you seen out of him? How healthy is he? And what kind of impact do you think that he can have with you guys this year?
Well, he is healthy. You know, he's coming off of an ACL, and so he sat out last year. When he got to us in the summer, he had just been cleared to go full. And so he's been doing that. I think, you know, probably always the biggest hurdle for those guys is the mental hurdle, but we feel like he's done a pretty good job of getting over that. But he does have great experience in the league. He averaged 17 points a game 2 years ago. And
pretty good.
I think a lot of people have high expectations for him, and they should. He's been a good leader for us. He's a very experienced college basketball player. He's been in this area because he played at John A. Logan, which is just about 10 miles from here, and so you know, it feels a little bit like home for him, I think, in that respect. But he's been a very good player for us, one of our best shooters at this point. Big, thick guard, strong, can play both positions, the 1 and the 2. And so we just think that he's going to help us a lot. The one thing I would like to see him change is he become more efficient offensively. I think when he played for Valpo 2 years ago, he had to take a lot of tough shots, and hopefully we won't have to require that of him this year.
Drew Steffi's a kid who came on, you know, last season. I think he was trying to find his footing early, obviously sat out his freshman year, but really came on late and played very well for you down the stretch. How important is it to have a guy back like that? Because, Scott, we know in this day and age, it's hard when you have this much turnover. And there's teams in your league, let's face it, like you and I, you look at and they bring almost everything back. How important is it to have a kid like Drew back?
Yeah, I think anytime you can bring anybody back, it's important. And, you know, he obviously Drew's used to our coaching. There's nothing new for him. He'll just go forward from there, be more confident, which is what happened to him last year. He struggled early, and then he gained great confidence and shot the ball well, like we thought he could at the end of the season. And so, yeah, there are high expectations. I think someone told me, I don't pay attention to this stuff, but somebody told me he's our leading returning scorer in league, particularly in league. And so, you know, to have him back is important for us. And you know, he's a redshirt sophomore, so he's still one of the older guys on our team.
I remember last year as we were getting ready for the opening day showcase, we were talking to you a little bit about your roster and your team, and you were raving about Rollins Aligbe. And it seems like you liked him so much that you were like, I got to get more of the Aligbe family members into my program. So you went out and you got his brother from Seton Hall. Now you got Prince, you got Rollins. It looks like that might be your front court here. What have you seen out of Rollins heading into his sophomore season? And is he happy now that his brother's there? We got a little sibling rivalry going on at the front court.
Well, that's with those two. I think that's always the case, which is good because it raises the level of practice. You know, the biggest concern I think probably for both of them and the family was, will they be competing for playing time, those kind of things. But you know, we can really play both of them at multiple positions, so it doesn't have to be that they're competing, because we think that Prince can play the 3 and the 4, and Rollins can play the 4 and the 5. And so, you know, I think we're able to convince Prince that he wasn't going to be competing with his brother all the time for all the playing time. But yeah, it's a great family. They, you know, they both have great energy and great fight to them, and obviously very big, strong, physical guys. And so it does raise the level of practice.
All right, Scott, it is not easy coming up with dirt on you. You know that. Like, it's not. I mean, I can go to a lot of different people, a lot of assistant coaches. Not the easiest thing to do. I mean, we can go the Cowboys route, right? I mean, we know you're a big Cowboys fan, and right now,
I guess, yeah. You'd have to wonder, why would you be a Cowboys fan at this point?
Well, you have no choice. I mean, I don't know what you think of Jerry. Jerry might, you know, want to sell the team soon. But I do have one thing. I do have one thing that I was able to uncover about you. Is it true or false that you were on Dancing with the Stars back when you were at South Dakota State, local? Rob's looking at me like he was on the real. No, not the real one. Not the real one, but a local South Dakota State Dancing with the Stars. Is this true?
It is true. It was back during a period when we were making that transition. And I almost felt like I had to do anything to connect with people and still hold on to their favor. It was, I can tell you, it was an out of the box, almost an out of soul experience for me because it's not my nature to do something like that. But I did enjoy it. I told they assigned me somebody from the dance program, and I told her, I said, if I'm going to do this, we're going to win it. That's the only reason I'm doing this and we actually did win the whole thing. And so, but there were some dances in there I wasn't overly proud of.
Give me the one dance that you just absolutely bombed. Do you remember?
When you say, oh, like didn't do well, the one that was the worst was the contemporary one. That was awful. It was, I mean, it was awful. And unfortunately, my players can still find those things on video, and so I'm not overly happy. I wish those things would have been erased.
Rob is so excited to hear that.
Well, I wish we would have known this last year when you guys were up there in Sioux Falls with us, because I promise you that there would have been no TV timeouts. There would have been, all right, let's see Scott Nagy do the cha-cha. All right, let's see him do the electric slide.
It was tough. I would have to go home at night and practice with my wife. She would come to the practices, and then she would practice with me at home. It was a mess. It was a mess.
All right, I'm gonna try to steer this thing back onto the rails if I can. Another guy that I vividly remember you raving about last year was Damian Mayo. It was just kind of your junkyard dog, do everything, connective piece. He's a senior now. He's been with you. What have you seen out of him this summer, and has he kind of embraced that leadership role that he was stepping into last season?
Yeah, he's always been that guy. So, when he likes that role, he just does whatever needs to be done. He made several big time plays for us last year that don't necessarily show up on stat sheets and things like that. But he's our motor. He's the guy we look to get us going emotionally, and he does a great job there. We do have 5 seniors this year. But I would say, he's the one we lean on the most in terms of just the emotion and the fight.
Scott, who's been the biggest surprise? Because again, you didn't know a lot of these guys. Who's been the one guy that really surprised you in the offseason?
We've actually had, one is a redshirt freshman, Jaheim Weber, who has really played well for us, at the center position, and done very well. And he was out 4 weeks this summer, and he came back after the 4 weeks, and it looked like he had never been out. And that's not easy to do for a guy that's 260 pounds. He's a big man, and so he shot 70% this summer. You can say, well, that's because it's bad defense, but he's big and he gets good shots. The other freshman who is a true freshman is Jalen Haynes, who is a 6'3", 6'4" guard that we brought in. He's from Dallas, played at Sunshine Academy, and just a tremendous athlete. Has played very well and is competing for time, we think, probably this year.
Do you feel like you're able to get access to a little higher level of recruit right now at the Valley's level than you would have maybe 5 or 6 years ago, as some of these high major Power 5 programs kind of focus on going after transfers and going after the 22 and 23-year-olds?
Yeah, I think if you're talking about coming out of high school, and then the question is, it's great if you can get them, but if they have any success, can you keep them? That's the fight. And so, really it's how much access do you have to money and to the NIL and to the revenue share, to be able to get them and then to be able to keep them. And so that's the fight. And, it's just that we know it's different, but you have to be willing to engage in that and go after it. And so that's what we're trying to do.
Well, listen, Scott, it's great to see you, man. Great to have you back on. Best of luck this season. And when I need some dancing lessons, I'll be sure to give you a call and let you know.
You can call my wife; she'll help you.
All right. We'll be back with more from Missouri Valley Media Day coming up next. There is no sport in America that is more difficult to follow than college basketball. It can be overwhelming. That's where the Field of 68 Daily comes into play. The Daily is your go-to source for injury updates, recruiting news, and transfer portal additions that actually matter. For just $50 a year, get access to the same information that your favorite team's coaching staff is subscribed for. Quality content can be hard to find in the college basketball space. The Daily is here to help you with that. Well, welcome back, Missouri Valley Media Day here on the Field of 68. We're now joined by Valparaiso head coach Roger Powell. Roger, we were just talking, and it's year 3 for you now out of Valpo. Time flies when you're at a program like this, doesn't it?
It does, especially when you're trying to build something and you got some momentum going, and you can see the day-to-day work is paying off. It's fun, and it goes fast though. It's crazy.
So the good news is you doubled your win total from year 1 to year 2. The not quite as good news is the portal hit you guys pretty hard. And you're not the only ones, but certainly you lost 11 guys overall, and you have a completely different team this year. What's it been like? Describe to me what the offseason is like, because you're a little bit older, not as old as me, but you're a little bit older, and the game has changed lately to whereas retention is important, but really, really difficult for teams in the Valley and other mid-major schools.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the same college basketball, and until you adjust to that, until you actually like say, okay, I'm okay with that, you can't build. And I do think just in our situation, having kids that didn't have any offers and kind of were, under the radar, and then have an awesome finish to the season, and they made a name for themselves. And, it's kind of one of those things where you can't blame them. They leave and they, get a big payday. But I do think there is a pathway where you can build, when you get a little bit older, you get some older guys that maybe have 1 year left, and you got some younger guys that you don't have to rely on as much, although they're still going to be talented. They're going to play. I think that's the formula. But, when you have freshmen starting, playing majority of the time, your leading scorers, I mean, it's inevitable. They're probably going to transfer up.
So you did bring in a number of new players. You brought in quite a few transfers. I think what's interesting is that you went outside of the Division I route to be able to bring some of these guys in. And the one I wanted to ask you about first was Sean Tupuola, who averaged 14 and 12 boards last year, and who, if I am not mistaken, had 15 against you in a scrimmage when you guys played them a year ago.
Yeah,
what do you expect to get out of him?
He had like 13 points in the first half. I mean, he was a monster against us. So I'm happy he's on our side now.
Yeah. Well, 6'9", 245. What do you hope to get out of him this season?
Yeah, I mean, he's an athlete. He's actually 6'10". He has good strength. Has a great second jump. He has some rim protection, some physicality and size that we haven't really had here. Since my first 2 seasons. And then, he's older. Yes, he played NIA level, but I mean, we got to see what he could do firsthand against our team last year, and he gave us all we can handle. So, he gives us someone with that athleticism, the size that we needed, and you have to have that in this conference to give yourself a chance to finish towards the top.
Was that the biggest thing, Roger, that you learned from last year? Again, you win 15 games, you go to the Valley semis. But was that the biggest thing that you kind of learned? Okay, going in, even losing all these guys, we're going to get bigger. We have to get bigger in order to
get absolutely. You had to get bigger, and we got bigger pretty much at every position. We had to get bigger on the wing. We had to get bigger inside. We had to get some more experience, and we were fortunate with 2 of our transfers. I mean, both of them started Division I level, and have won and have put up numbers. So now we have some experience transfers that have come in, and they're going to help us. I think all of that was, it's part of building a program. And I feel like last year's team helped us jump a certain level, help us be respected a certain level, with the late run we had. So it helped us in getting some higher level transfers this year, and I'm super excited about that.
One of the two returnees that you have is Justice McNair, and he's a guy. He's a sophomore, only played about 11 minutes a game, but he won a couple games for you himself. I think he had a game-winning half-court shot in one game, and another one where he hit a bunch of threes down the stretch. So, bigger role, I'm assuming, more minutes here, and he's the guy that kind of understands what you guys expect out of the program. What are we going to see from Justice this season?
Yeah, I think he's going to have that natural progression. I think, from freshman to sophomore, you usually make a pretty decent sized jump. And some guys, All Right was playing prep school when he came in. Justice came straight out of high school, but you saw glimpses of it, but it wasn't as consistent. I think as you get more experience, this is his second time around. He's seen college basketball. Hopefully you'll see more consistency out of him. But, we're really excited because he was dynamic, and he had games literally where he single-handedly won them for us. And that's a good sign to have a kid like that coming back that's dynamic like him.
Isaiah Barnes is a guy who we know, he's been in college basketball for a long time, right? A couple years in Michigan, highly touted. A couple years at Tulsa, averaged almost double figures last year for the Tulsa. I think you recruited him, right? Didn't you recruit him back when you were at Gonzaga? So how do you envision him? I assume he'll be one of the cornerstone guys for this year's team.
Yeah, his experience alone. I recruited him way back when I was at Vanderbilt, and he's in Chicagoland. I've known him for a long time, and he's one of those Chicago kids that I've done a good job recruiting. And but he was a 4-star recruit. Played in the Big Ten. Last year I think he averaged like 10 points and 5 rebounds at Tulsa. So he's has experience, and that's what we hadn't had since I've been here. And shoot, not just him. He's going to be dynamic for us. You got Owen Deese, who, played at Texas Corpus Christi, played in the NCAA tournament, put up big numbers in tournament games. 6'8" forward. Those being able to bring in that caliber of player to the Valley, that gives you a chance, especially on the wing. Because one area we need to get bigger was inside, but to add those two with their size and their experience and athleticism, that we're super excited about that.
Mark Brown Jr., point guard, junior college kid coming in. I always feel like it's when you have those transfers coming at the point, it could be a little bit difficult just because of what it means to be a point guard in the program, right? You got to be the coach on the floor. Everyone kind of knows the requirements of being a lead guard. Are you working with him specifically to try to get on the same page, to try to learn, this is what I like to do, this is what you like to do, this is how we can make this work together?
Without a doubt. And, he was a top 60 JUCO player in the country. Isaiah Stafford, we got a couple of years ago, he wasn't even top 100. And then not only mention, Mark led his JUCO team to #1 ranking in the country at Snow College. So, he's won and he's dynamic. And I think just that talent alone, his experience, he's older, he's adjusting pretty quickly to what we need from him. And I'm excited. I think he has a chance to be one of those breakout players. Obviously, in our program, I love guards that can score. He can score it as well. So I'm excited to see kind of how he adjusts. And once we get to start playing against other teams, to see his talent come out.
All right, Roger, we're going to go off script here a little bit. We're going to have a little fun. Right. So I've been told pickup games back at Valpo, one in particular, were interesting. You are super competitive. We know you played at Illinois and how good you were. But give me the story of when you and current Ohio State head coach Jake Diebler, listen, got into it a little bit, didn't you?
So Jake and I, man, we're like brothers, man. We were together, building that thing with Bryce, and we won a lot, and then we went through Vanderbilt, had it going in the right direction. Obviously, unfortunately, all of our guys got injured, but I root for him all the time. That's my brother. We're super close even to this day, but we were ultra competitive, and we literally competed at everything from pickup to, I don't know, anything you compete on, we did. We're like brothers. And so, it depends on which games you were talking about, because we also played a game called Baylor ball where you lower the rims and you dunk on each other. So we've done a lot. But Man, no, we used to compete. We used to battle, and it was 1-on-1, 2-on-2, 3-on-3, and yeah, I mean, I can't recall one because we did it so much, but it was a lot of fun. And even to
He
this
said
day,
there
I
was
mean,
one. He said there was one in particular where it almost came to, throwing blows for and I'm like, all right, I'd take Roger in that one. All right, if it comes to that, I'm going to take Roger against you, Jake, and it's not even close. It's going to be Roger's
yeah,
going to be the
if we did, we probably hugged afterwards. So,
all right, I
Was
got one more. All right, go, Roger.
okay, go ahead. No, I was just gonna say. So, when Bryce is kind of running that coaching staff, was there ever a point where he just kind of, like, I know when my kids start fighting, I'm like, you go to your room, you're in timeout. How many often did you get sent to your office or get put in timeout when you were on that staff?
that's hilarious. I don't know if we ever got put in timeout, but I know Bryce could feel it when we were competing with each other. I mean, but that made us good. I mean, that literally is the reason we were so good, and that we did a great job recruiting, and we won a bunch of championships at Valpo. Man, we were passionate, and even to this day, you see Jake's passion, you see my passion. I mean, for Bryce to have two, young coaches that have matured and grown into head coaches. I mean, one being the head coach of Ohio State, it's just a credit to his tutelage and just him giving both of us an opportunity. And even to this day, I mean, all three of us are really close. Like I said, I mean, we care about each other a ton, and we want to see all of us, achieve and do well.
All right, I got one more before Rob tries to bring it back on the rails. And I don't know where this is going to go, Roger. This is a leap of faith for me right now. All right.
Oh boy, here we go.
Give me your Michael Jackson impersonation. Can you do it? Will you do it? Look at his eyes. Look at his eyes.
Who told you about that?
I cannot divulge my sources. I cannot.
Oh my goodness.
Can we get it?
That was just going to go away. Huh?
Can we get the impersonation?
Hey. Oh no, so I can't do it because I don't have my hair, I don't have my glove. But that's funny. Did you see the video? So I did that for a charity here in Valpo. And it was awesome.
Really?
I did. And I had Pat Baldwin. So you didn't know about this?
No.
See, I'm confessing right now. This summer I had Pat Baldwin and Jesse McClung there in the background, and I literally I did a Michael Jackson impersonation to raise money for underprivileged kids in Valpo parks. And I thought someone told you about that. I'm hiding the video though. That's never.
No, we will get the video. We will trust me. We will get the video, and we will make sure to put it out there and either make you look really good or embarrass you.
Hold on, let's clarify this. Did you dance? Was it singing? What song was it?
I did it, man. I did it, and
what
it
song?
was really good. I think it was "Don't Stop Till You Get Enough." Dun, 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 dun. You know what I'm talking about? All right, so no, I came with it. I got a standing ovation. So
nice.
You won't embarrass me, but at the same time, they get to see a different side of Coach Powell. Coach Powell do anything for the kids, man.
All right, so here, how about this? We're going to make a deal right here. If Valpo wins the Missouri Valley this year, you come on the field of 68, and we give. Can I make a request? Can we get Billie Jean?
Oh, I think I could do that. I watch. I got to study the film. Yeah, I study film. I gotta prepare for it. If we win Missouri Valley, I might do it on the court. All right, that's how happy I'm.
Yes.
So I don't think I'll have to come on the field of 68 for it. I think it's gonna be out there. All right, Dill, you got it.
Done.
Yes, done. Lock it in, man. Lock it in.
Lock it in. Lock it. Billie Jean.
I got one more for you, basketball wise. Describe to me what this team's going to look like, because I do think, again, we've talked about the size, we've talked about some of the new guys. How will the style be different than what it was a year ago?
I mean, these guys are gritty, man. I mean, that's one of the things that I have seen from them, starting all the way back to June when they got here up to now. Like, they've been consistently gritty and tough, and they're fighters, and they got something to prove. Obviously, the size, the athleticism, the physicality is different. Man, these guys, I mean, these guys are talented. And, you know, obviously it's our job to keep them connected, you know, teach them how to play our style, whereas they're not thinking as much and they're just hooping. But what you're going to see is a different type of physicality and competition level that, you know, we haven't had since being here. And I'm super excited about that.
All right. Well, listen, Roger, it's great to see you, man. Appreciate you jumping on. And with all due respect to everybody else in the Missouri Valley, we have been guaranteed a performance of Billie Jean at half court if Valparaiso wins the Missouri Valley Conference Championship. So I will be a Valpo fan for the entire season. I can promise you that. We'll be rooting for you, man. Great to see you.
Awesome.
Yeah, see, I told you, man. We'll have more from Missouri Valley Media Day coming up next.